Yeah, Prophet Marcello Currents. So this video is going to be about um why there's going to be a persistent war against those who work witchcraft, divination. See, we getting down to the bottom of it, what it is. Instead of labeling these names, the names of these groups, we gonna be Pacific what it is. We gonna be Pacific what it is. It's witchcraft, psychic energy, telepathy energy, mind reading energy. That's all it is. We don't care what group they talking about. That's what it is. And they treated this like a religion or a gang with these young generations of witchcraft. They act like this is a gang, okay? But so you gotta go through what gangs go through. You gotta go through what, and sometimes even the toughest gang, you can go find Crips and Bloods that's dead, way harder than you, dead in the grave. So you got a group of people that want to act like a gang but don't want to take what comes with it. You got a whole generation, even outside of these people, that want to act like they're a gang but don't want to take what comes with it. If you have not noticed, all people who claim to be in a gang don't always survive. All these real dudes don't survive. And I don't need to be told that. People jumping around, they need to be told that. People don't always survive. You could be real, you could be whatever, and you still die. And that's the real reality. You could be whatever you're supposed to be. You can have all the turn up in the world, and you still die. And that's reality. That's a reality they need to start getting ready to face. Because these gangs out here can think they the baddest out here in the world. They all gonna think that. And you see them getting stuffed in the grave, stuffed in the grave, stuffed in the grave, buddy. Just like anybody else. So it comes a time, man, when you realize, hey, God is not calling us to pray for these people no more. Okay? They see, the current situation is they hated it so bad that when this war in Iran happened, because everybody can see it's the end of the world, that they want to attack me. Hey, listen, buddy, that's why I'm going to get weapons. That's why I'm going to get guns. That's for sure. I'm going to get licensed guns and everything, because the angrier you get and act like it's my fault, and because you played yourself and you put yourself in that position. Listen, bro, I'm not going to take the blame. I'm gonna give me a couple clips and you know, in the future, and be ready for anybody to act like they won't smoke, because they mad because they lost. They mad because the world is over. Hey, listen, that's what comes with it. Just like I said it, you don't always win. You can set out to win, but that don't mean you're gonna win. And you're not gonna come back to me like I'm the sucker. I'm not you the sucker. And you're not gonna come back to me. And just so y'all know, these people who work witchcraft, they not no street people. Don't let them confuse you. They not street people. Okay, that means they not thugs. Okay, so if you a citizen, I'm calling the police on the citizen. You a citizen. What I've learned in 2026 is you hold street. This might sound like it's a contradiction, but this only the true masters know. You hold street codes to street people. And with citizens, you hold them to the law. You hold street codes to street people. And you hold citizens to the law in 2026. That's how you gotta do it, bro. You can't hold no street codes with no citizens, because they gonna play all kind of games. They gonna play all kind of games around that, and they know they can play with you because you ain't gonna call the police. See what I'm saying? They know they can play with you because you won't call the police at the drop of a hat. Nah, I wisened up, man. They not even street people. So you can't apply It's a tricky situation. It might seem like a contradiction, but it makes sense. If you can't apply street codes and G codes to citizens, they citizens. Okay, so if you see a whole bunch of citizens gang stalking and playing games and everything, how can you hold that to the street codes? They gon' switch up and act like, oh, I'm not doing anything wrong. You see what I'm saying? They not gonna be 100, bro. That's what I'm saying. And so you gonna play yourself trying to stick to street codes, and you still gonna wind up in jail playing games, trying to stick to the street codes, and with these citizens, you gotta play two games. You gotta stick to street codes with street dudes, and for citizens you call the police and you use the legal system against the police. I mean against these citizens. You don't try to stick to no street codes with an organization. You don't try to stick to no street. This is for real news. You don't try to stick to no street codes with organizations like the Freemasons and all of that. All they gonna do is silence you. See what I'm saying? Because you can't get them on street stuff because they ain't built like that. They ain't gonna fight. They ain't gonna do nothing. They gonna play around it, bro. So then you have to use the legal system and the police against these people. That's what fits. That's what fits for them. You can't hold it on street codes because all they gonna do is know, oh, he a street person. He ain't gonna call the police. You a street person. You ain't gonna call the police. Sorry, that's what I'm doing. Because I learned as I got older. You know what I'm saying? You gotta have a balance in your force. Okay, I stick to street codes with street people, and with citizens who ain't no street people by principles. If I don't see you got the principles of street people, I'm calling the police on you. That's it. You know what I'm saying? And that's a grown man. You know what I'm saying? That's what you gotta do. You gotta evolve as a street person, man. You can't stick to street codes with every single person. No, you can't. Because what they gonna do is use it against you. They know you ain't gonna call no police. So what you gonna do? Go back and forth with these people over and over and over and over again, and not do nothing about it. But they ain't street people. They don't address things like street people, right? They don't handle things like street people. Okay, then so then it ain't no. All they gonna do is use that against you. You in a building where you, like, for me, I'm in emergency housing. You know, in this emergency housing is all part of the Freemasons and secret societies. They all part of it. Okay, so then you think I'm gonna stick to street codes when they play games in this building? No, I'm not. I went and advocated to other people. That's what I'm supposed to do. See, I grew up. That's how you know I grew up. Now when I was younger, I'll stick to straight codes and all of that. Nah, I don't do that no more. Because everybody don't deserve that. That's another thing. They don't deserve street codes. Listen to what I'm saying. This is only for those who really live it, bro. Because, see, it's a tricky way. This is how you know people live it. When they put a balance in there. You feel me? That's how you know. They ain't going to go to the extreme what seems right. The person that really lives it going to have that balance. Does that make sense? Cause I ain't sitting up playing with some Bart Simpson type characters, some Dennis the Menace type characters, and I know they probably from the suburbs. You know what I'm saying? If they was from the streets, they ain't current with the streets because they don't move like the streets. So it's old. They washed up. They ain't a part of the streets now. How people do things now, no. So it ain't no need to even address. It's either they're too old to know how the streets really move now. That's how you talk to people, deal with people, and what you expect from people, you know. And if they don't know how to move like that, I don't even try to even address them as street people once I know that's not you. Once I perceive that that's not you, and you probably just a witchcraft person and a psychic person, but because you're black, you think you got that street credibility, and we know you don't. See, you can play white people like that. They'll just slap on street credibility. They'll just strap on, this person probably catch a body, but they won't. Okay, so you know, you could fool white people with that, but us as black people, we should be, I'm gonna tell you, even though we should be more sophisticated, we not with how we understand our own people. You don't sophisticate the rules and the regulations based on what we understand, which is Man, half of these people these days smoking weed and drinking is not real niggas. They not thugs and gangsters. They not killers. They just smoke weed and they drink. That's it. But somehow along the way, we done kind of put them in the box like, because they out here smoking spliffs. It's a whole generation of drug addicts, man. That's how you need to hear it. It's a whole generation of drug addicts, and the drug addict gonna listen to all this music. They gonna think that they part of the streets, man. I'm telling you. So you gotta make a whole lane for people who smoke weed and drink and listen to music that make them feel like they thugs and gangsters. And they got the attitude like street people, but they don't have no follow through like street people. They don't have no principles. They don't have no follow through like street people, and you can easily see it. So you see they fold in that way. To me, you fold as far as principles. You fold as far as principles, and that's it. Can't nobody take it from me, because like I told you, I done been around killers. So you can get your best rapper, you can get your best thug and gangster, you can get your best whoever, and they can't change that reality. They can't change that. So who they are ain't gonna change what I've been around. And see, that's what a street person gonna tell you. You can go get who you want, but they ain't gonna change what I've been around. They ain't gonna change that. How they gonna change it? Ain't nobody that real. You can't change what I've been through. You can't change what I've been around. You can't change what I've done in my life. The felonies I've done. You can't change that. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? And that's how every person, when you go to prison, that's how people gonna be, right? When you go to prison and you tell people, I don't care about this dude over here. I know what I've done in my life. You can't even go to prison to be intimidated, because there's gonna be dudes in there that got way more reputation than you. So what you gonna do? You gonna fold on the person with the reputation? That part, that's how you need to see it right there. If you go to prison, most likely you ain't gonna be the hardest hardcore criminal in that building. That's not gonna be you. That's not gonna be you. Because if it was, everybody will already know who you are. Does that make sense? You ain't gonna be probably the hardest criminal in there. But are you gonna fold because this person got a reputation? You're gonna be who you are. You gonna come in there and regulate on whoever you need to regulate on. You ain't gonna care that this person got more reputation than you. You ain't gonna care that you ain't gonna see. This is how people do pit people against each other. Okay, because this person got reputation for this and that and the third. So what? If we in prison, I don't care what you got reputation for. I'm gonna take care of my business if I got to. That's it. That's how you're supposed to be. You don't go to prison to get intimidated because this dude done caught a body. He done caught 5 bodies. He done sold 10 kilos. But you was nickel and diming when you sold drugs. But because he sold weight, you're gonna be intimidated. See, that's how some people are in the streets. They put people against you for that reason, for you to be intimidated. But if you in prison, it's a perfect analogy. If you in prison, you're gonna get intimidated by this dude that sold 5 kilos, 10 kilos, but you never did, and he caught 5 bodies, but you never did. You gonna be intimidated by him? No, you gonna handle your business if you got to. So his reputation ain't gonna mean nothing. That's how the prison system gonna move. Nobody cares about each other's reputation. It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. All we talking about is here and now, and how you gonna handle your business here and now. That's it. Cause everybody got different reputation. So what? So you ain't gonna be the biggest dude in there. There's always gonna be somebody that outrank you as far as crimes. So then what you gonna do? You gonna fall? You gonna submit to that person? You gonna submit to that person like a homosexual because he got more crime? He did more crimes than you. That's how people be made out to be homosexual. Cause you come in there and you fold on people that got more crimes than you. I don't care if you got more crimes than me. So what? So what? That's how I'm supposed to move, and that's what you expect of me. You don't expect me to come to the prison system or anybody and fold on dudes because they got more crimes or they bigger or whatever. It don't matter. I'm gonna try to handle my business as much as I humanly possibly can. That's how you're supposed to be. Because if you get caught up in the mix out here, they gonna do that out here. See, in prison, it's no room to do that. Out here on the streets, they gonna compare each other with each other and say, well, but he ain't this dude over here. He ain't that dude over there. You know what I'm saying? So let's put this dude over here against that dude over there. Bro, I look at it in the sense, if I was in a prison system If I was in a prison system, I wouldn't care what you done. I wouldn't care who you are, or how big you are, or how crazy you are either. I don't care about that either. You got a lot of crazy people in the prison system. I don't care about that. That ain't gonna, just like Ice-T said, don't try to act crazy because it ain't gonna faze me. If you ran like a punk, it wouldn't amaze me. You know what I'm saying? That's what Ice-T said on Colors, man. Don't try to act crazy because that ish don't faze me. Don't faze me. Don't try to act crazy because that ish don't faze me. If you ran like a punk, it wouldn't amaze me. You gotta realize, man, everybody gonna play these roles, these personas. That's why I'm big on personas, telling people, watch people with personas, man. They gonna stick, especially in the gay community. They got personas. They the ones biggest on these personas. How they carry themselves and the little words and slangs and how they, they big in America, period. They big on these personas. But then when you talk real life and you settle in and you just chill and you cool and you normal, you ain't acting bipolar, you just talking calm and regular, you gonna find that they don't stick to that same persona. You know what I'm saying? Like me, I'm the same persona. I'm the same person everywhere I go. I'm the same person outside that I'm like I am right now. I don't go out there like many of these homosexuals and act like a gay dude for protection. See, a gay dude will turn up in here, right? But then when he go out in the streets, he a gay dude for protection. If I walk like a gay dude and switch around and act like I'm gay, then most people gonna give me a pass. That's how it is now. If I go out there now in Utica and walk the strip at night, and you know what I'm saying, and you obviously a gay person, then most street dudes gonna say, that's a gay dude. I ain't gonna. You know what I'm saying? They know that, and he gonna do that. Me, he might give me a second look because I'm walking and holding my head, and I'm in these politics. So I don't have the luxury of going out there and hiding behind gay stuff like you do. I don't got the luxury of hiding behind a stud and being a stud. That's real. I don't got that no more. I never had it. I gotta hold my head out in the whole jungle. You don't. You get to go out there. You get to act hard in here and then go out there and act like you gay. And that's how dudes gonna carry themselves. I'm smart enough to know that. You gonna go out there. Okay, if you in Brooklyn and you gay, why you gonna act like you in they lane? That's number one. You ain't gonna act like you in they lane. You know better than that. So you ain't gonna go out there at nighttime acting as a gay person, acting like you turned up. That's how you know I got the psychology of a straight man, because I go out there like I am. You know what I'm saying? I go out there like I am. A gay person, you know you ain't in their lane. You ain't doing nothing in their lane. And so you gonna stay in your lane. You gonna go out there gay and bouncing around, but you gonna try to act like you a street dude in here, and we ain't having it, man. We not having it. I'm gonna treat you like a citizen. I'm gonna treat you just like a citizen, because that's what you are outside. Outside, you a citizen. Outside, you a citizen. You gonna call the police on people that's playing with you as a gay dude. I guarantee you that's what you're gonna do. But among themselves, they got people that think they the head of the pack, and they think they're a street dude in here among these gay people. And then you ain't gonna play that role with me. Because I know for sure, I am positive that you gonna go outside and be a gay dude, right? I'm definitely sure about that. So I'm definitely sure. It wouldn't make sense any other way. It wouldn't make sense any other way. You ain't finna go out there. Okay, you might fight. You might act like, you might fight, but you ain't finna go totally into their lane. You know better than that. That's what I'm saying. You ain't gonna go out there. I go out there like that. Cause I'm in all these people politics. I'm in the, so how can I not go out there like that? If that makes sense. Okay, if the streets is talking and everything like that, I gotta hold my head in with all them people out there talking that is not gay. So I learned to walk like this. I learned to hold my head and check these non-gay people. So I had no choice. I had to be in that lane because my name was in their politics. So I'm not. So I'm not in their lane, but my name is in their politics. I had to go into that. So for people that think I'm talking about things I shouldn't be talking about, but they got my name in their mouth. I gotta talk about it. Now you see why. That's the main reason. That's the main reason. I grew up as the full man I need to be. So you can talk about the past. You can talk about when I was a teenager. I'm a grown man. I grew up. That's just the truth. That's just the truth, bro. I'm a grown man. I've been married. It's certain things that people that ain't never did certain things, like when it comes to the family structure of having a child and being married, it builds more manhood that you might not perceive that I have. Once you done been married, you are a protector over your wife. You understand? That's first rule. Ain't nobody ever try my wife in front of me. Ever. Or any woman I ever been with. They ain't never tried my woman in front of me. Okay? So that's where you start building that protective spirit where you'll put yourself out there for another person. See, that's something that other people don't build, bro. They don't build that kind of muscle. That's what I'm trying to show you. I've been a married man. I'm not going to be treated like I'm some little teenager punk running around Brooklyn. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, that part. I'm over here a grown man, bro. And I can't stress that enough, man. So you're gonna see grown man principles. A grown man, if you acting crazy, listen, I'm gonna call the police on you, and if you still acting crazy when they come, they gonna shoot you in the head. Okay? That's what I'm thinking about. You act crazy, they gonna shoot you in the head. You're gonna be one of them people wielding knives or wielding something at the police, and they gonna shoot your head off. That's what's gonna happen to you. See, I use police for the right reasons. I know how to utilize it. I make them do what I need them to do for me without incriminating myself. See, it's an art to that. It takes brains. Listen, I use the police correctly. I use them correctly. I don't use them maliciously like some women do. Women use the police maliciously. Oh, real men know that. A black man know that. You done had a woman call the police on you, ain't you? That part. Oh, that's malicious, bro. Okay, if y'all just arguing and most men know what I'm talking about. Y'all just arguing or whatever. Okay, why she called the police then? She called the police to one up on you. That's all. And you done been through it. Real men done been through it. She just called the police to one up on you. She ain't feel threatened. She ain't feel like nothing was gonna happen. That part. Petty stuff. Okay, so I don't use the police for petty stuff and malicious stuff. You know what I'm saying? So that's misusing the police. And the police know when they come and the female done call, they ain't gonna believe everything she's saying because they used to it. They used to the police, for females calling the police to win fights, to win arguments, to one up on a dude and put him on the streets. That's why you can't even kick a man out after he done lived at your house X amount of time. Because women do it to win games, to level up or one up on a person. Yeah. That's misusing the police. I don't misuse the police to kick people out on the streets because so I can one up on a dude. Women do it all the time. You know what I'm talking about. It wasn't no real reason for her to call the police on you. She called the police because she wanted to one up on you. You know what I'm saying? In other words, she wanted to get the last word. She wanted to win the fight. She wanted to win the argument. You could be absolutely right, and she called the police on you, didn't she? Okay, see. That's malicious. That's using the police as a weapon. I don't use the police like that. I use the police for citizens, not for street dudes. Because street dudes and I are going to talk it out. We going to figure it out. That's the difference. Why I'm going to call the police on you? Because me and you can see eye to eye. I'm going to talk it out. I'm going to talk everything out with you. If I can do that. That's what I'm going to do. I ain't gonna sit up and call the police on the dude that I know, oh, I didn't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, me and him can talk. That's how he gonna get offended. Nah, he ain't even have to do that. Me and him could have talked. You know what I'm saying? Nah. See, that's the situation. That's the situation. But when you know you're dealing with citizens, man, they don't play by our rules. Guess what, man? That's how you need to hear it. If they don't play by our rules, I'm utilizing the police and their arms against you. And if you're still acting crazy when they come, they're going to shoot you in the head with a 40 cal. You're going to have a 40 caliber bullet in your head. Because that's all they're carrying. They're carrying 40 cals. That's all the police carrying, 40 calibers, buddy. That's what you're going to have. I would too. You on the streets, I ain't not even a 9. I'm at 40 cal gonna slow you down, buddy. You get hit with a 40 caliber bullet. Don't let it be hollow points. Police probably got hollow points though. But yeah. Police got them 40 cals, buddy. You still acting crazy, you still acting out of character. You know it's out of character for sure. You still acting character. It's not in character. You not like that usually. Okay, we know that because you gay. Okay, so then you not like that usually. Okay then. So you out of character. I wake up on one. I'm in these politics. I'm in this situation. I ain't got no choice. You know what I'm saying? You got the luxury of being a gay person and being out the way. But you trying to be in my politics. See what I'm saying? I'm going to treat you like a citizen, man. I'm going to treat you like a citizen. If you still acting crazy, the police going to shoot you in the head. And I wouldn't even care. Because you shouldn't be playing with nobody like me. You're doing it for all the wrong reasons. That's another person that's doing it all for all the wrong reasons. You clout chasing, you trying to do it for other reasons. You trying to get reputation, you trying to be famous and everything like that. And I'm smart enough to know that. Or you think you're doing it for your group of people or for black people, and they the ones that cause these problems. How you gonna do something for them and they cause the problems? Between black people, gay people, or secret societies, Freemasons, Illuminati, they the one cause the problems. So how you gonna defend them and do like you doing something for them? Based on the real situation. I wouldn't do nothing for them. I wouldn't do nothing for him. That's not a normal situation. You came and messed up. See, even if you evil, when you done messed up the whole community, man, you know, ain't nobody feeling that, bro. Nah, ain't nobody feeling that. That's when we definitely know it done gone too far. I don't care what kind of witchcraft you using. I don't care what you stand for. You can't mess up the whole community on no situation. That's it. There ain't nothing else to talk about. It's simple. I don't have to talk a million hours. You shouldn't be coming out here playing and messing up the whole community. When you can't just have enough courage to face this one person. You ain't got enough balls to do that, no pun intended. Then see, that's the problem. I made myself available to people. I told people if they want smoke, I'm always available. I'm always out there. So you can't say I'm running. You can't say I'm ducking and hiding. Listen, man, I done been out there too vulnerable by myself. Even when in this neighborhood, when I first came in this neighborhood, there was no help. There was just a whole community. I was out there by myself. I got my respect, and then people act like they now want to protect me and help me. But that's after. This is why I don't respect nobody. But that's after I had to go through all of this. Now you trying to side with me after I got my respect. Imagine that. I ain't have no protection. No, man, no, bro. Nah, I don't feel. Nah, I'm gonna tell you how I feel. In the totality of my situation, I feel like you sat back and watched. Mostly, that's what you mostly did as a community. You sat back and watched. There was nobody. That's for people who think they protected me and you on my side. You sat back and watched. Okay, I got respect, and then you sided with me. That's not. I don't feel that. No, I don't feel that. If you got real respect for me, you side with me before in the very beginning, and you ride with me through the situation. That's how that works. So now I got people that people can look to that's over there, and they can say, okay, well, they believe he a good person. I didn't have you right there. I had to prove myself. Then you came in and supported me. That's how it worked. That's different. See, I can talk these politics because I live it, bro. I don't know what it's gonna take to make you realize I live this. It ain't no way in the world you can talk that fluently about something you don't live. You just didn't realize, you looked at it from a white boy perspective, everything I was going through, and I was looking at it from a black man perspective. The white man was telling you what I was doing like I was just a bum on the streets. Meanwhile, I was in a whole nother lane on a corny dude like that. And he ain't know no better how I was moving and doing stuff. A white boy gonna tell you, oh, he a bum out in the streets. Cause he can't see on that level. You feel me? He can't see down on that level to see what it is. No, he can't. He can't see me on that level. If I ain't got nothing, he can't see me. If I'm broke, he can't see me. No, think about what I'm saying. If he can't connect me to certain cultural things that requires money, right? He can't see who I am as an African man. I was invisible to him, but I was winning. I was invisible to the Americans, but I was winning because I was invisible to you because I ain't had no money. See how God did it? If I would have had money, you would have been able to connect my routines to everything that's normal. You would have been able to perceive who I fully am. That's why they had to do this. Because the way I was moving broke, but everywhere, right? They had to micro observe who I was. They had to come down and micro observe, watch my every thought and watch everything I'm doing. They had to do that because they couldn't connect me to money. Like, okay, he doing this, he doing that, he doing this. Now we can kind of get an idea of who this person is. Based on your purchases online, they can tell you who the person is. If you buy if you buy weed online, you buy hip hop music, you buy anything, all those things gonna identify you. Your purchases is gonna identify you by your card. With everything you buy on your card, I can tell you what type of person this is. Think about it. Everything. If you buying gay porn, okay, online, I'm pretty sure this person's gay. Well, why is he buying gay porn? This is what investigators gonna look at. They basically, man, can identify you basically on your purchases. But if you ain't making no purchase, how I know who you are? Boom. That's 7 out. How I know who you are and you ain't making no purchases? I can't really get a feel like I get with a feel with these other people. We got all these other people in check. All we gotta do is go and look on their credit card, everything they bought, their statements, and I'm gonna see who this person is. Every month. Then I'm gonna get a pattern. I'm gonna look at every month. I'm gonna see what this person do every month. Then I'm gonna look annually. I'm gonna see what he do for the holidays. I'm gonna see everything about this person. I'm gonna know everything from the purchases. Do he like white people? Okay, he bought a white boy movie. You know, something like that. He purchased this white boy movie online, and because you could buy movies, right? Okay, so he bought this white boy movie and everything. So he cool with white people. I can find everything about you on the average person. If you got a decent amount of money, I can find everything about you from your purchases alone. What you buy. I don't need to micromanage you or micro observe you. No. All I gotta do is go. I don't got to put you under micro surveillance. That's the better term. I coin terms. Micro surveillance. That's what they putting us through with the gang stalking and the monitoring spirits. That's micro surveillance. But I don't got to put you under micro surveillance. When I'm using telepaths and psychics and all these people, that's micro surveillance too. That's a type of technology, even though it's human beings. They basically use them like cameras. They use telepaths, psychics, and witchcraft people and wizards like cameras to try to put your mind under surveillance. That's what it is. And if they did it with technology, non-human technology, then everybody would feel that it's severe illegal surveillance. But it's the same thing. All they did was use human beings to play as technology to put us under surveillance. Because psychics are real. If you're a Christian, I've met Christians that don't even believe in witchcraft, witches, or nothing. And that's a person that really don't study the Bible. The Bible makes it very clear that there are witches, warlocks, psychics, and all sorcerers and everything. Why would the Bible address something that's fake? If it was of no effect, it didn't even do anything, why would the Bible address it in the way that it does? It wouldn't address it like that. And then you see instances like with Saul, where he went to the witch of Edom to pull up the prophet Samuel, a medium. You see that it worked. You either believe that or you don't. You either believe it or you don't. The prophet Saul came to the witch of Edom, and she summoned the prophet Samuel. Okay, there you go. So that's an instance where sorcery, witchcraft, black magic, however you want to look at it, there's a source of it where it's real right there. That's all you need to see right there. Now, you now are aware of the world of witchcraft. See, some people are not conscious of it. You know how many Christians are not conscious of the world of witchcraft? You don't think it's real. They will tell you that, man. I've heard more than one person, black people, who say, oh, that's not real. I don't believe in that. And that's how they take full advantage. Because if black people really realized that they was real, we would have been further down the road. We would have beat them already. We would have beat them once we came into the world of it and realized that it was real. And how many people using it? We would have been, black people would have been beat them. We would have been beat them. You doubted, you know what I'm saying? And you was destroyed for a lack of knowledge. That's what, see, this is why, see, when I use that scripture, people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. I apply, that mean to me, how I explain it, you get destroyed from anything that you don't know, any area. If you ignorant in any area, that's where you're gonna be destroyed. It don't matter what area it is. If you don't have knowledge in every area, this is why you have to have knowledge in every area. If you don't have knowledge in every area, then it ain't gonna sidestep the area you don't got knowledge in. It's gonna hit the area you don't got knowledge in. It can apply to any place where you lack knowledge. So you get destroyed where you lack knowledge. In any area you lack knowledge. So if you didn't know witchcraft was real, then you get destroyed in that area. You see what I'm saying? You get destroyed because God showed you the knowledge that this stuff is real. Witchcraft, psychics, mediums, all of that is in the Bible. Okay, so if you don't, you let that go into one ear and out the other. See, this is the difference between religious people and God's people. Religious people don't even believe in witchcraft at all either. I mean, think about it. You'll find Muslims. Most Muslims probably don't believe in witchcraft. Something to think about, right? Most Muslims probably don't believe in telepaths, psychics, sorcerers, all that kind of stuff. So they're just religious people that are not aware of the whole spiritual world. You got Buddhists, they don't believe in witchcraft probably. No, they ain't gonna believe in that. They're religious people. Someone made up that religion, and then obviously they were not aware of the whole spiritual world. God's people is aware of the spiritual world. But we ain't like conspiracy theorists sitting over, on that lane like that. Nah, we just aware of the spiritual world, right? We know that the devil and his kingdom is real, and his servants is real. You find the Church of Satan, they say they don't even believe in Satan, but they the Church of Satan. Oh, one of their core beliefs, at least that they present to us, is that they don't believe that Satan is real. It's an idea. Satan ain't no idea. Satan is a creature, a real creature. And some people haven't come to terms with that yet. That's why this ain't gonna stop. We can have total peace in the world, and Satan is still real. It's no way around it. It's a spiritual war. You could try to. I'm like a guide for the jungle, buddy. You could try. You ever seen the movies where there's like this guide for this jungle-like land, and he's taking these civilians through the land, but this person knows the jungle like the back of their hand, right? I'm that type of person. Look at me like that. I am like a guide, but I'm a Christian. I'm like a guide, and I'm showing you and I'm advising you as a guide would that was in the jungle. It's no way in the world you're gonna stop Satan from fighting humanity. He's gonna do it. Either way, you can bring all the countries together, you can bring everybody together, you can bring black and white people together. The devil is still gonna fight the community. Okay? That's just it's no way around it. So ultimately, man, that's the war that we can't get around. We can't get around that. He gonna be lurking and he gonna be fighting. It's just what it is. So you can't save me or save the America or anyone else from this war. You can't save me from the war. You can't. It's gonna keep going on and on and on. The spiritual war does not stop because physical wars stop. You can stop physical wars, but the spiritual war is not gonna stop. It's not gonna stop. That's why we all in. That's why we all in. And it's never gonna stop. This is for life. It's not gang banging, but it's for life, bro. We don't got no way out of this. I mean, we can get people to build forts and fortresses against Satan and draw more protection around God's people. But just, and you can have governments that choose to serve God, but ultimately the war of Satan does not stop against us. It doesn't ever stop. The worst thing you can have is see, this is where witchcraft people are ignorant. Summoning all these spirits, summoning all this witchcraft, all the foolishness and all that got to come back on this community. All of it do. Like I said, look at me as a person that's a guide through the jungle. I know for sure what's going to happen. When I talk on these foundational principles, it's because in this situation of gang stalking and all of that, it's so blatant what they doing. It's only going to bring one outcome. It ain't going to be even within question because it's to the extreme of one situation. It's to the extreme of one type of actions. Okay, so then how it's going to be blessings and good and mercy when it's to an extreme? It's obvious. Anybody can figure it out. That's why I'm surprised people haven't. All this stuff these people doing, it's got to come back, bro. It's got to. That's spiritual reciprocity. Ain't nobody can doubt it. That's why they had to try to move fast against us, but it didn't work. We move faster. Now, you got to have your guard up if you're a Christian because people mad at us because this happened. That's how I look at it. They mad because it happened. Listen, man, that's all it is. All it is these people acting out because they mad because this happened. But they the ones caused the Jedi mind trick is to be acting so mad, but you the one caused it. So a stupid person just look at him like, yeah, he's mad about that. The smart person say, I don't know why he mad, he the one caused it. I don't know why he acting so mad at this person. Y'all the one caused it. You should, so, like I say, who you mad at, me or yourself? You mad at me or yourself? You can't be mad at me. Who you mad at, me or yourself? Can't be mad at me. Man, I sat back and went through all of this stuff. Make it make sense. I sat back and went through all of it. That's my position. I went through this stuff. That's what most people gonna say. He the one went through it. How he started. He the one went through the stuff. The stuff that they did is why it's happening. That's all it is. All you gotta do is talk to good spiritual black people. They gonna say, they cause all these problems. Because I'm still with God's real people. I'm still with God's black people. That's God's people. They gonna say, nah. It ain't even hard for us to see. It ain't even close to blame this person. Because everything you did nationwide against him and other people like him, against the Christians, all that energy is what caused this. That running back and forth, doing all of that stuff, you got to break it down to people. All that riding around, forming witchcraft against people, all this mind reading, all this monitoring, which y'all say monitoring spirits, I call it micro surveillance, illegal micro surveillance, where they're putting your mind under surveillance. This is what caused all of this to happen. How can people see that? Oh, but it's me. How would it be me? That don't make sense. No, that don't make sense, bro. What makes sense, where anybody can believe, a drunk on the streets could believe it. He opened his eyes and he look at all this stuff these people doing, running around, and these car convoys riding around doing all this stuff. And he realizes nationwide, a drunk on the street gonna tell you, oh boy, America's in trouble. They gonna get all this stuff back. Everything they doing around here, all of that finna curse the country. You could find a bum, a homeless person that's a drunk on the streets that would tell you that. Yeah. Black people that really know black people and spirituality, you already know, bro. It's easy to see. If you stop looking at everything as a game, in the context of a game, and you just look at, and you're not biased about whose side you're on. You're not biased about whose side you're on. You just look at it for what it is. And you see all this stuff being done. Ain't no way in the world you telling me ain't nothing coming back for it. This is what it is. That all this stuff that's happening is all of it coming back. It's no secret. So we not gonna play like it's our fault. We the ones that took all this stuff from these people. And that's the real story, that's the real narrative, that's really how it is. And so you'll have people Jedi mind tricking like they so mad, okay, but you mad at yourself. Add that part to it. Your community that you come from was part of the reason why it happened. Add that to it too. See, this is how you practice excellence in class. I sat back with class. I do everything by the books. The citizens acting crazy, we call the police. That's class. That's being professional. I ain't gonna sit and go back and forth with somebody and then wait till it escalate, and that's what they waiting for. Yeah, like I'm stupid. You waiting for it to escalate and want me to end up in jail or something to happen to me, and it's not gonna happen. I'm too smart for that. You waiting for me to challenge that person that's throwing stuff all around. You waiting for me to come out and challenge that person. That's what you wanted me to do. I'm too smart for that. Now you see how smart I am. I ain't gonna nod. I'm gonna be professional and call the police. I ain't gonna come out there and this ain't my building, this ain't my house. Now, if you came throwing stuff in this room, okay, that's a different situation. Because nobody don't even supposed to cross over this threshold. I have legal right to protect myself once somebody pass over that threshold. But out there, I don't care. I used to turn the lights off and try to make it feel good like I like it. I don't do none of that no more. I used to I'm talking about where I live. I used to the hallway, I'll turn the lights off and make it feel good. I don't even care how it feels. And see, people don't pay attention to that. I used to care about the door being closed at all the time. That's the first thing. I closed the door because the stairwells, all this noise and all that, I don't even care. You should have seen where I stopped caring a long time ago. I stopped caring. I don't close the doors. I don't turn off the lights. And what I would have noticed, oh, that person don't care no more. He don't care about this place no more. I don't. So all that throwing stuff around, all I'm gonna do is call the police. That's all I'm gonna do. That's how you gotta do it. All I'm gonna do is call the police. And see, it's a shame that I have to do that. Most men ain't gonna question my credibility for doing it. But it's a shame, you see what I'm saying? I even gotta do that. Where it could be possible where somebody questioned my credibility because of this person. You see what I mean? Because I really don't like dealing with the police. And that's how you know. I hate dealing with them. Because ultimately, man, we live two different worlds. And they never vouched for the world for black people. In fact, they was a problem for black people. They was right. They was a problem. Let's keep it real. You can say whatever you want to say about the police, but as an institution, not being blind by the concept of the police. That's what happens. Some people get blind by the need for police, which we do need police. And the concept of police. You get blinded by the concept of the police. Okay, we need police, but these police, we got to be specific what their history is in this country, because you got the police in every country. In America, the American police institution was not ever really for black people, and that is an ongoing history. While some people are blinded by the concept of the need for the police. Okay, yeah, you do need police. You do need police. Yeah, but but if you're stupid, that blinds you to just be blindly on their side because of the need of the police and the concept of the police. Okay, yeah, we do need the concept of the police, but I'm not gonna be blindly on their side when I know the history of America. Not with these police in this country. Now you step right outside of this country, police in Puerto Rico, it might be a whole different ball game. You know, they might be a whole different ball game. But you know, police here in America on the mainland, listen, man, it ain't never been good. It ain't never been no good. So my point is, for that reason, of course, I you know, there's always this tension between the police and me. I keep healthy tension between me and them because I don't trust them. Even when I call them, I don't trust them. Nope. But that's based off the history. That's not like a little Bart Simpson character that just hate the police. You really can't say I articulated significant hate towards police. You can't even say that. Not really, where some people go all the way in and talking about it and everything. I just breeze over it like this, like based on what the history is and based on how I've been treated, because I've been mistreated by the police myself. I've been a dude that was pulled out the car, dragged on the ground by the police. I've been through it because I was in the car with a white woman. I think that was the main reason. Because he didn't even have a reason to card me. She excuse me. I was with this white woman, and she ran a stop sign because in that neighborhood, back in the day we didn't have stop signs in certain places, so you can get kind of used to driving a certain way. You know what I mean? Especially if you lived years and years in the same neighborhood, you could not be conscious of new stop signs. So it was kind of that situation. So the police pulled her over and seen me sitting in the black seat, sitting shotgun in the passenger side like a black man would, you know what I mean? And they instantly was hating because of that. Because the truth is, she ran the stop sign, she had a traffic violation. Why you need to see who I am? But that's North Carolina police for you. Why you need to see who I am? I mean, that's real. If it was me, I don't see no need to know who everybody is in the car. I'm going with this person that's driving the car. What he got to do with the traffic violation? He ain't say, yeah, run that stop sign. So you ain't see no crazy behavior out of me. You ain't see my hands hanging out the window. I can see if it was something like that. You ain't see nothing weird coming from me. So why you need to know who I was? Because I was a black man in the car with a white woman. That's why. See, that's North Carolina police. That's how they used to be. Just because I'm in the car, I did like a movie. Just because I'm in the car with a white woman, you want to card me and see who I am. See, I've been through that. And I was 18 when I went through it. So from the time I've been a man, from that experience, the police came and dragged me and pulled me out the car. And I'm like, why are you pulling me out the car? Pulled me out the car, scarred up my face, took me in a parking lot and asked me questions. No, hold up. I didn't go straight to the precinct or the county. In my city, I didn't go straight to county. They take us to county. We don't got precincts and stuff. Well, I mean, now we do. But this was the year 2000. Literally. So I didn't know about no precincts. I only knew about county, and that's where I was going. But before we went there, it's 1 o'clock, after 1 o'clock at night. The police took me into a parking lot and asked me questions about my life. You don't supposed to do that. I'm sitting in the back seat. He asking me questions about my life and everything. See, I've been through that kind of stuff. You arrested and he's sitting there and he pulled you into a parking lot late at night because I'm with a white woman. That's what it was. It burns them up to think that I had sex with her. And we did have sex. And he hated it. He hated the fact that I'm a black man having sex with this white woman. That's what it is. So see, that's why I formed my opinion on the police like I did from that incident right there. I was smart enough to know, he ain't have to. He could have been asking me them questions on the way to the precinct, to the county. Because from West Charlotte to the county is like at least about a 20-minute drive. Easy. So he could have been asking me all them questions while he was driving, like a normal cop. Because I was 18, so he was trying to ask me a whole bunch of questions. But you could have asked me them questions on the way. This dude parked. Now these days, I would, as a older man, I would say, no, hold up. Why is you parked asking me questions, bro? Now let's just go to where we going. You a police officer. Take me to where we going. No, I don't want to ask no questions. I could have said I have the right to remain silent. I ain't have to ask no questions. But see, I was too young to express those rights. I was 18. I was too young to express them type of rights. Now, I ain't gonna answer no questions. And we ain't gonna be parked in no parking lot in the middle of the night and you asking me questions. See, that's what I went through. But here's the thing. He just so happened, knowing it was West Charlotte. See, it was West Charlotte. That's another reason he wanted to card me. Yeah, let's keep it real. I'm in West Charlotte. That was another reason. That's another reason why he went and carded me and see who I was, right? Ran my records. But I did have a warrant out for my arrest, okay? But I had to line it up to show you he had no reason to even card me though. Even though I had a warrant out for my arrest, he still didn't have a reason to card me. No, this woman ran a stop sign. I'm with her, but she was my homie at the time, but I ain't got nothing to do with that. So why you need to card me and figure why you need to know who I am? Because I was black. That's what initially sparked his interest in me, because I was in the car with a white woman. See, that's North Carolina. And people know they done been through that. And even though you was guilty of something else, let's say you had something on your possession or whatever, but initially what it was about, the fact you was black though, and they just hit the jackpot. That's how they work. They gamble. They know you black, you might got something going on. And just so happened, man, I had a warrant out for my arrest. I had a warrant out for my arrest. I just happened to go with my female at the end of in the middle of the night. I told her to give me a ride to the mailbox. See, now I would have just walked around. You know what I'm saying? I would have just walked in the dark. But I called her to give me a ride to the mailbox. And so that's what she was doing. And guess what I was doing? What I've been doing now. I was putting money in the mailbox. Like I do now. That's what I was doing at 18 years old. I've been doing this for a long time. So I wanted her to just run me to the mailbox. See how funny that is? Like I was doing it when I was young. I wanted her to run me to the mailbox so I could put my little money in, in the mailbox. And she got pulled up. You could say it was the devil. You could say that. Because I was putting that money in the mailbox and everything. Police pulled us. Boom. Found out I had a warrant out for my arrest. So I had to go to jail that night. I had to go to jail. All that. Get processed, everything. And I had to do community service. I had to have a probation officer. Just from that incident, I had to go through getting a probation officer, community service. See, I've been through the system. That's what it's two types of people that understand what the system is and how hard it is to do a crime. How easy it is to do a crime and how hard it is to get it off your record. Because I had a warrant out for my arrest, but I already did certain things to comply. I did what I needed. I felt to comply with my community service, probation officer, being on papers, like we call it in the South. I did everything to comply with being on papers, right? But either way it went, I still had a warrant out for my arrest. I was supposed to make a court date or whatever, and I wasn't conscious of it. So I had a warrant out. And I had to go through the whole, as if I had did that crime again, I had to go through everything I went through the first time. Which means I had to go through having a PO, paying them that money, paying my PO that money, and community service. I had to do it twice because I didn't make a court date. So you got two types of individuals that understand how hard easy it is to do a crime and how hard it is to get it off your record. People in prison and people that go through the system. Just because you didn't go to prison don't mean you haven't been through the system. Going through the system is when you get on probation and you got community service and you got to pay that money, and if you don't do everything right, like I did, it'll be a warrant out for your arrest. You'll be getting thrown out the car like by the cops. I went through it for one crime, but I'm glad to say I got that crime expunged off of my record. So that crime that charge ain't there no more. I got it expunged. In North Carolina, you can get your record expunged. You can get one charge expunged. You can't get them. You can't pay for all of it to come off. But if you are a decent person, how they look at it is you could have made a mistake, and that's really not who your character is, and we'll allow you to expunge one of those charges so it don't stigmatize your life for all your life. So you don't be stigmatized all your life from this one charge that really don't define who you are. But once you got a whole bunch of charges, then they gonna say that defines who you are as a person. But they'll give you the right in North Carolina to expunge your record. So that's what I did. I talked to an old head, and the old head told me, man, you need to get your record expunged. You know what I'm saying? You get that charge off. And so, because I had a job at like a college, and because it's all these females and young people at these colleges, they did a background check and found that the charge was still there. This is after I got arrested. This charge still there. Can't make it up, bro. Can't make it up. I did everything the second time, but the charge is still there. See what I'm saying? I complied to everything, but the charge was still there, right? Which means people could still judge me based off that charge, even though this is why they allow you to get it expunged, because people could still judge you. They have the right to still refuse you to be employed with them based off the past. They have their option. That's not even discrimination. That you can't beat that. they form their opinion based off something you did long time ago. So I was talking to an old head when I was about to work at a college, and he was like, my family, didn't really know about this. So I talked to an old head, luckily, man. And he was like, yeah, you need to get your record expunged, bro. That's what you need to do. So back then, anytime somebody tell me something, I always have them old heads that kind of put it in my head and keep telling me, yeah, man, that's what you need to do. So I went down there and got my record expunged. You know what I'm saying? But I struggled through my marriage because of that. And I didn't know, because I also held the opinion, like most old heads, that after 7 years, that an old charge will fall off. And it don't. So I had this folklore in my mind, once I complied the second time to that same charge, that it's gonna fall off in 7 years. In 7 years, it's gonna fall off. It didn't. That's folklore. Charges don't fall off in those 7 years. Tell the streets. Cause where I come from in the South, they say, oh yeah, that'll fall off your charge. That'll fall off your record. It did not. It didn't fall off my record. It followed me all the way into my marriage. And I think that's why I was refused certain employment, and I struggled in employment in my marriage. Because I didn't know. I thought, oh, after 7 years, that's gonna be gone. In fact, I thought because I complied with everything I did, that wouldn't even be on there. Either way it go, I wasn't conscious of it. Whatever it was, I wasn't conscious of it. And I think it followed me all the way through my marriage. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes I didn't get jobs, sometimes I didn't get situations. And I think that's what it was. Because the jobs I did get, like for example, when I first moved to Tampa, Florida, my first job down there, I was working with prisoners. I was working with prison dudes telling me crazy prison stories. Told me a crazy prison story. So in that case, he didn't have no problem with hiring me. You know what I'm saying? Because he already hired two cool black dudes from Florida, and they had already been through the prison system. You know, so that was no way. My point is, there was no way of telling that what it was there or not. It was only when I ventured out into Tampa and started going for these more professional jobs, or these temp services that's a little more upscale. It was only into that time where I started losing. I didn't get opportunities. The only kind of opportunities I got when they hired me, and that's probably why they had the look on their face that I didn't realize, because they knew about my charge back in the day. It didn't. The places I got hired, it was a whole bunch of street people all the time. So I had no way of knowing until I got stopped at working at a college. Then I found out. So guess what? The whole time, all these other employers knew, but it didn't matter. So I had no way of knowing I was being stopped in other situations. See that part? See what I mean? Until I went to a college and they do a thorough background check and they found I had a charge, and so I had to go and get it expunged. At that point, I didn't have to do nothing to comply to. It was over. But as far as what I needed to do, but to comply with my, to my charges, but it was still there. People still judge you based off of it. That's the biggest problem. They still gonna judge you. They have the right to judge you. Because in some cases, some dudes don't change. They go to these jobs, and everything can happen. So then you can't say you can blame them. You know what I'm saying? Because some people don't change. So I think that's why I kind of struggled a lot of times, because I was young. Most people in my marriage, I was real young, early 20s. There was no reason for nobody not to give me a shot in many cases. And I think that was the reason. Because I didn't get every job I wanted. I didn't get every job I applied for. And I think that's what it was. But I got my record expunged for I think $500, $600. No more than $600. You get the one charge off, and that was it. Now I don't have anything significant on my charge, on my record. Not in North Carolina, New York, it's just weapon charges. But I think they fall off, and I don't think it stays on a record. In my case, because they give you what they call like a ticket, and if you stay out of jail for 4 months, then they won't apply to you. So in a couple cases, that's what I did. It didn't apply. One time, the precinct didn't even take me. I didn't have to go to county. You know what I'm saying? They just took the weapons off of me, and I got out. But a couple times I had to go see the court, the justice, and I just had to stay out of trouble for 4 months, and it fell off. So, that's really my story. You know what I'm saying? And there's no way people can know that. You know what I'm saying? And it's, if you listen to my corny brother, he ain't go through the system like I did. He ain't go through, because really going through the system is when you a kid. That's when it hurts. That's when it's gonna hurt you. But if you start getting felonies as a 30-year-old man, people gonna wonder why that's even happening to you. Why you even doing felonies? You know what I'm saying? I was 16 when I caught that charge. But I never got caught for selling crack cocaine. You know what I'm saying? I sold crack. I never got caught with possession of crack cocaine. That never happened, and I'm grateful for that. I had a gun in my possession, and I didn't get caught with that because somebody stole it in my family. Somebody stole my gun in my family, and what made it so bad, this person knew I was kind of just dipping and dabbing around selling crack. So why would you take a gun from me? You know what I'm saying? This is what kind of, I had a family member that was on crack so bad in the 90s when crack was real bad. I had one of them crackhead family members. Stole my gun, video game, jacket, everything, all kind of stuff, man. He stole clothes. I think about it now. This person was stealing out my bag, man. Because I thought about some clothes the other day. I thought about what happened to these clothes I had, all these clothes. See, that's what a thief would do. You have to look back and say, oh man, what happened to all them clothes? Because I was young, and when I lost clothes, guess what I did? I just dismissed it. I didn't think about it too long. I couldn't find it, whatever. I just dismissed it. and I was always getting new clothes, so that's what kept me not worried about it. Not even to really question it really hard, because I was always getting new stuff. See, that's why I don't mind not wearing designer stuff now, because as a kid, I wore designer stuff all the time. I stayed fresh. I kept clothes, hats, shoes, everything. I think if you really was fresh as a kid, you don't really care about clothes. I had Jordans, everything. So I've known people that never had a pair of Jordans in their life. I'm like, man, really? But that's what it is. I had the Olympic Bugs Bunny Jordans. Yeah, I had those. And I had other pair of Jordans that were hand-me-downs where they was pretty decent in condition, and I've had a couple other pair of Jordans like that. But so I stayed fresh as a kid. Now I don't feel the need to really wear designer stuff and worry about it. I don't really care about it. I think because I did it so much as a kid, I didn't care. I don't care about it now. I always wore designer everything. So, I don't really care. Now, I'm 44 years old. I don't really care about that. Matter of fact, I'll just wear something that looks good. That ain't got no design. It ain't no designer stuff. Like just a nice shirt, nice pants, even shoes. If they ain't even gotta be, well, we call them Jeepers in the South. No name brand shoes with no brand. We call those Jeepers, Jeepers. So I wear Jeepers now. As a grown man, sure will. I used to go to these department stores, all black shoes. All they gotta be is all black. Shoot, I'm wearing that. I done it. When I was on the streets, I remember I was in Florida somewhere in Florida. I went to the nearest Walmart. I had like $30, I think. And the shoes was like $24 or something like that. They were all black. That was good for me. That's gonna look fresh. As long as they all black, that's all. Ain't nobody really gonna ask no questions. Not in my age bracket. Not in my age bracket, they ain't gonna. They'll be glad. Like, oh shoot, I might give me some of those. They comfortable. That's all you care about. They look good and they comfortable. That's it. So, the shoes I got right now, I think they supposed to be designer shoes. Because I seen them in the window of a store. I was like, oh, okay. I ain't even know. I got those shoes in San Francisco. It's about time for some new shoes, though. I gotta do that when I go back down south. I gotta get some new shoes. If I get housing with this other place I already connected to, I'm trying to see if I can get housing at this other place. And if I get that, I'll stay in New York. But they saying I can, basically. So I guess I'll do that. Because I've been here waiting for 9 months, so I know this is a game. You know what I'm saying? I'm not stupid. This is a game. I've been here for 9 months. You know, how you gonna be here for 9 months, almost going on a whole year? You less than 2-3 months away from a year. I'm not stupid, man. They kept me in this neighborhood to play psychological games and to play games in this building. That's how good my intuition is. They can't get nothing past me, man. I move around too much. I'm too street smart. See, me, I don't try to read people. I just let people incriminate themselves. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna incriminate yourself. And when you do, you can't be mad when I call you on it. You know what I'm saying? I can easily see, you know what I'm saying, that you part of these weirdos with these politics, these bogus politics. And I can tell that by your bizarre behavior. Your bizarre behavior tells me that that you are part of those bogus politics. That's all. You know, I ain't no. That tells me this whole situation is an enemy situation. And so I don't care about nobody smiling in my face. I don't care about none of that, because see, I don't play into I don't play into it like a younger dude might do in these days, or a white boy. Better case to say the white boy, because a young black dude ain't taking it either. If I know you enemies, you know what I'm saying, I'm not showing no love. I'm not showing no respect, because that ain't what I'm supposed to do. Because that get considered as weakness. I'm not showing no respect or nothing. See, you got to understand how other people look at things. That's why you're getting treated like you're getting treated. Because once I realize that this whole situation is enemies, I don't feel no need to show any respect or acknowledge people on a human level. I don't humanize nobody. Not really. And I don't trust nobody here. And that's based off of their actions. Not my apprehensions, not my mental hangups, not mental hangups. That's based on their actions. I sit back and let people be who they are. And eventually you're going to tell me everything about yourself. And that's what I read. I read the truth. I read the truth based on your actions. And that's it. I don't try to come in, you know, trying to see who this person is and nah. So yeah. That's why I just let people be who they are. And when I call you on who you are, you can't say it ain't true. It don't add up. You know, the only thing to add up is you part of them politics, you part of the same politics, and so I supposed to treat you like I supposed to treat you. And that's that, you know. It ain't nothing else. It ain't hard to figure out. So the first time I got arrested was juvenile hall. You know what? I don't even remember what I done. Maybe I don't even remember. Maybe they initially took me to juvenile hall, then they took me to the jail. I think that might have been what happened. But in juvenile, I had to sit in them little classes, them little sessions where everybody sit around in chairs. Then you go back to your cell. I was only like 15 when I went to juvenile hall. I don't remember. I don't want to say what I did. I don't know what it was. But that's the sign of somebody going down a criminal path when you start getting arrested at 15 and younger, you know. But if you start getting arrested at 30, I don't even trust that these days, because kids now, people that age want reputation. It ain't organically that you real, and you just, you know, like I was explained before, I think some people are inclined to do wrong and evil, and some people are not. They're less inclined to do evil. And then some people are very inclined to do evil. I believe that. I'm not saying that's gospel. I'm not saying that's definitely facts, but I just believe that just like you have the animal kingdom, some animals are just good-natured animals. Then you got some animals that will bite you and hunt you and just, it's almost like it's evil, but it's not. Because an animal can't be evil. A snake can't even be evil. No animal is evil, right? But it's the nature of the animal. That's all, you know. So I think some people have, if you look at the human race, some people are inclined to do evil, and some people are not inclined to do evil. But one thing that's tricky is I don't really think people are inclined to do good. They just live. But are you inclined to just be a righteous, good person? No. Oh, well, God made us that way. So to that, yeah, based on how he made us, we are inclined to do good and be righteous. But do I think it's certain? I think there are good people that they're just inclined to good. They just good-hearted people, and they wind up going to church. But you can tell why that person wind up going to church, because they kind of a really good-hearted person. You got a couple people like that in your family, like they just real good people. So I can see why they would wind up going to church. You know, but you can find people that in your same family that just all their life they've been doing evil. I got people in my family that sold drugs. They ain't never worked a day in their life. They ain't at least they ain't worked in their 20s and on up. They sold drugs their whole life. I seen people like that. I don't know if you got them kind of people in your family, but I know people ain't never worked. All they do is sell drugs. That's all they known for. That's all they do. That's thugs. Sell drugs their whole life. And they never stop. They don't try to get a gig. Cause some people, even if you got felonies, you can get a gig, right? But this person doesn't. This person don't try to get no gig. This person don't try to get no side job, some little odd job stuff where you can get in and still get that 40 hours and still get some money. Nothing. But they stay ahead. They do what they do. They keep bread, you know. So I done seen people do that in my family. I done seen somebody sell drugs their whole life. And I just think some people are inclined to do evil. It's easy for them to do it. It's easy for them to hurt somebody. That's what I'm really getting at. It's easy for them to hurt people. That's what kind of person you, a lot of these secret society people are people that's inclined to do evil. But see, there are people that, because that's going to be their picks, who they pick. That's how they going to pick who they want. That's how most people in witchcraft, those are people that's inclined to do evil. From the time they was kids, they always did certain evil. More evil than other people. Outside of witchcraft. That's why it was easy for them to dip and dab in it. They was probably dipping and dabbing in it before they really got serious about it. Because they was inclined to do evil. You know, but then even with that being said, some people don't go to the highest levels, like killing and catching bodies and everything. So then you got a whole landscape of dense population of people that just do, they're just malicious in intentions, as opposed to, you know, being able to take somebody's life. You know what I mean? And that's where the clash comes in. Because see, God's gonna have, this is how this is what God's kingdom consists of. He's gonna have people that are inclined to do evil become Christians. And a fool don't know that you were the type of person that was inclined to do evil, but now you're a Christian. That's what type of person I am. I was inclined to do evil because I was doing it when I was young, and I carried weapons to school, and when I was in elementary, I carried a weapon to school, and I ultimately got kicked out of school for a weapon in high school. I couldn't go back to school. I got kicked out, and they sent me to another school for bad kids. So that's what happened too. When you go through all of that in school, you a kid that's inclined to do evil. See, my brother wasn't like that. See, the first time I thought about shooting somebody and I had a gun, my brother's the one that taught me how to killing this person, shooting these people. Because he was more inclined to be good than evil. He never was evil. He was a late bloomer and he fell in love with it because of the culture and everything. That's the only way I can look at it. But far as his nature, he wasn't built to be inclined to do evil. First time I wanted to shoot somebody and kill people, the reason why I got talked out of it was because of my brother. I had a gun. And any caliber gun, if you shoot, most kids gonna shoot you in the face. And that's how a kid gonna shoot you. They ain't gonna shoot no body shots. They ain't gonna think about that. Even though it's an easy target to shoot somebody in the torso, a kid gonna walk up to you and shoot you in your face, like he punching you in the face. That's how he gonna think about it. He gonna use a gun like he punching you in your face. He gonna shoot you right in your face. Me, at that time, I was a danger to myself because I didn't have no chill. Which means if I wanted to kill you, if I was against you, I just wanted to kill you. I didn't want to fight. I wanted to pull weapons and kill. If I was offended. And it would have been just a matter of time before I ended up somewhere in jail. I am so lucky with my mentality that I had, and that I know I had, and that people know I had, that that didn't end up being my story. That I was one of them people that got out of jail in my 30s, you know, like that, and I didn't experience nothing in my 20s, and I was headed to be one of them young kids in prison. That's why I was headed with my mentality. You know your own mentality, whether you real or fake. And ain't nobody gonna be that persistent if you fake. You gonna fold somewhere, and because you know you're not real. It's gonna be a mixture or something. The mixture that people perceive about me, how they misread me, is because I'm a Christian. So the good energy you misread as a punk, or when I humble myself. You see what I'm saying? And I'm smart enough to know that. What you misreading is that I'm a man of God. But you're taking that as a punk, or when I'm thinking to do the right thing and I'm thinking like God want me to think, people take that as fraudulent. You see what I'm saying? And see, some people are not smart enough to see that. See, just because you can read people, see how complex it is, right? See how complex it is. Just because you can read people don't mean you smart. That's what I learned. Just because you're a psychic don't mean you got a 190 IQ. It don't mean your IQ is 190 because you can, and see, that's the difference between spirituality and IQ. You can have high levels of spirituality, but you have a low IQ. See, for me, I know most people I'm around, I have a higher IQ than they do. That's just because I've been esteemed as a smart person by everybody I've ever been around. Everybody I've always been around, I've always, black, white women. If a white woman call you smart, you smart, buddy. I had a white woman call me smart. I don't get esteemed as a dummy. Not even by white people. So, you know, man, but at the same time, I'm not playing no whiz kid pop quiz games either. You know what I'm saying? Where people are goofy and corny and they want to see how smart you are. You know, I'm not playing those games either. But a lot of people read people. They read people. But you're not smart. So guess what happens? Sometimes if a person is smarter than you that you're trying to read, you're going to misread what you see. If I'm smarter than you, that means my thought patterns are higher than yours, beyond your perception. So when you try to read somebody and your IQ is low, you didn't really see what you thought, or at least for sure you was not able to define what that meant. But you try to put a definition on it, and that's where you get in trouble. If you know these people are accusing me of pedophilia, if you are a high-ranking person, you're gonna know that it's no telling where those thoughts or images are coming from. They surrounding this person. This is why I expect smart, the same people to understand. You got all these people out here surrounding me that they don't think I'm aware of, right? How can you be sure it's not one of them that's thinking these thoughts and put it in my head? So you're absolutely positive those are my thoughts that you get. Throw in there the satanic kingdom. Throw in there demon spirits. Throw in there wizards and witchcraft and sorcerers. Throw all of that in there. That people that don't care if I'm guilty, people that want me to look guilty, throw them in there too. And tell me that you're smart enough to dissect all of that. You're not. You're not. You're not smart enough to dissect all of it. And so there comes the confusion. The reason why this war is not stopping. See, I say all who I am so that it sets the right mood for what I'm saying to you. So you see what kind of person it's coming from. Because with all these images of what people said, you really don't know who I am. So I just set the mood, because my life is my life. I'm not saying it to intimidate people. I'm not saying it to I don't like people. I don't like bullies, right? So I'm not saying it to intimidate people. I'm saying it to ID myself, like an ID. This is how you ID yourself. Okay, so now that you heard all my backstory, you can even interpret why I call the police. I done been through the system and thrown down on the streets by the police. You see the balance in all I've been through, right? But I grew up as a man to realize, some people, they don't go by no street codes. They don't go by nothing from the streets. And you ain't gonna win trying to stick to no code with these people. Cause they gonna continue to fight you over and over again, and you just sticking to the codes, which means you just silent, you just quiet. That's it. But they playing all in your face where you almost halfway want to kill somebody. You see what I'm saying? So what's the best thing to do? You treat them as citizens, and you do what you should with citizens, and you get them correction by the way of the police or a correctional facility, with either one that corrects them, whatever corrects them, whatever the method is, that's what we do. See, that's the difference between me, how I used to be as a kid, and who I am now as a grown man. And I still don't compromise. I don't compromise who I am, because I keep weapons myself. But it's not what you do, it's how you do it. Like the old school saying from where I come from in the South, it's not what you do, it's how you do it. You know what I'm saying? So I keep my weapons, and I can call the police, and I definitely got my weapons, but they gonna respect me because of how I do things. I'm not gonna come out here and pull no weapons on nobody unless I got to, unless I can win. But I ain't, like I said, I ain't going to jail for murder. Only charge I'm getting is manslaughter or less, or totally getting off with what I've done. I'm not getting no murder charges. I'm too smart to get a murder charge. I am too smart to get a murder charge. Where I went and got a weapon and came back to somebody. And if that's murder. But because that's a premeditated killing, right? Manslaughter is when I didn't have the intention of killing this person necessarily. It happened in the process of a conflict. That's not gonna be murder. If you kill somebody in the process of a conflict, most likely that's not gonna be murder. In some cases it could be, but the key part is, even this is what people don't understand. Even if you got a weapon on you and it's illegal, it's not gonna define you killing somebody as murder. That's still not gonna be murder. So just because you got an illegal weapon don't mean you're gonna get a murder charge automatically. It's still gonna be based on how you killed this person, how you did it. Okay? So here's the punchline. If I carry a weapon on my person, instead of going into a room or going somewhere where it's stashed and getting a weapon, right? If I already got it on my person, that's not gonna be murder. But even if it's a registered gun, even if you got a legal gun, if you go back and get it from somewhere, that legal gun is gonna be used, see what I'm saying, as a tool of evidence for your murder that you did. You got a legal gun, but you committed murder. I got an illegal weapon, but I didn't get a murder charge. I'm too smart to get a murder charge, man. It ain't gonna happen. which means I'm gonna stay with a weapon on me where I ain't gotta go back and get it. As soon as you go back and get it, that's a murder charge. If you go back and get a weapon, that's murder. That's murder to people because they gonna think you didn't have to do it. Even that's the tricky part, right? That's the tricky part, right? But if you turn your back and go get a weapon, they gonna look at it like you could have did all these other things. You could have left the whole situation when you turned your back. See what I'm saying? Look at it for what it is. You could have ran away. You could have ran off. They expect you. The justice system don't care about you proving you ain't a coward. They don't care nothing about you standing up for your manhood or nothing. You know what I mean? No, I mean only law that I would say that acknowledges you as a man is in Florida, where it says stand your ground. They got the stand your ground rules. That should be nationwide because it's a principle for a man. You should be able to stand your ground in any situation. Even if it's against the American government and the military. That's why everybody looking at it like that. It's a principle of standing my ground. Florida gonna look at it like that. In my situation, he got the right to stand his ground. We don't care what happened to this country. You shouldn't have played with him. He got the right to stand his ground. And I don't care who dies. He has the right to, you shouldn't have played with him. He got the right to stand his ground. And then you keep playing with him on top of that. I can see if you stop and he would just gung-ho on you. But you keep playing with him though, every day. Okay then, so why would he stop and you still playing with him? Make it make sense, bro. People will say, oh, he ain't stopping. Why would I? Every day there's some type of shenanigan. Every day it's a new shenanigan, man. Why would I stop? Why would you stop? See, they ain't even gave you a chance to stop. But they talking about, oh, he won't stop. Of course I won't. You keep playing with me every day. So, it's just, see, there are certain people that think we wanted you to do work for black people. We wanted you to stand up and fight for black people. But black people didn't stand up and fight for me. No, they did not. In fact, it was black people that started all these problems, and nobody don't want to call it like it is. They caused all these problems, man. Yeah, they did. Okay then, okay. It's not hard to, do anybody misunderstand what I just said? Okay, so that changes the whole perspective on black people in this situation. You don't have the luxury of sitting back acting like somebody doing something to you. You did something to me. This time around, you're liable collectively for doing something to me. And like I said, how you misread me is because I'm a man of God. I really am. So then, but you see my street principles. You see in my past, I was inclined to do evil, and I'm human. I'm inclined to do evil, but I'm a Christian. But you can't push the buttons of a person that's inclined to do evil. So what you think is a mixture, a fraudulent mixture, is a man that's stuck between being inclined to do evil from his past and trying to do things as a Christian. And see, in prison, they will understand that. On the streets, people think you fraudulent, you fake or whatever. But a wise man, even in prison, people could see, okay, this dude done changed his life, but I know he in here for a reason. So I know he ain't nothing to play with because he here, right? Okay, that's common sense. If I'm in New York, that should tell you everything. Look at the city I'm in. Okay, so then I wouldn't try nobody in New York if that was me. Well, I'm going to look at New York. See, some people just ain't that smart, and that's what I'm trying to tell people. When you smart, let me explain smart. Smart is when you're totally aware. That's in a nutshell. If I had to use one sentence, smart is when you're totally aware. Basically, that's it. And if you see somebody tell you they lived in Brooklyn, East New York, it's not to intimidate you. It's to show you this is what type of person this person is. He done lived in East New York, down there on New Lots Avenue. I lived in more than 2 or 3 places in Brooklyn. This ain't the first place I see. Most white folks that's in this secret society stuff, all these little funky little witchcraft bastards, you don't realize I lived in 2 and 3 in different spots in Brooklyn. I lived in Bed-Stuy. I didn't even know what Bed-Stuy was. I'm a country dude. I'm from North Carolina. I ain't know what Bed-Stuy was. You know what country people think? Brooklyn is a neighborhood. Man, most country people, even in Charlotte, they think Brooklyn is a neighborhood. Brooklyn is a city. Basically, it has its own downtown. It has its own city hall. It functions totally like a city. That's why this is the biggest city in the country, because it's 5 cities in one, basically. You don't have to leave your borough. It can give you can get everything there. Food stamps, everything. This is how you know it's on the city. You can get food stamps in Brooklyn, the Bronx, without leaving Brooklyn or the Bronx or Manhattan or whatever. You can get stamps in any city, in any borough that you're in. You don't have to go somewhere else. In most cases, if you're in the shelter system, you'll have to go down to Queens. And you might be in Brooklyn like I was. I was in Brooklyn, but because I was in the shelter system, when my case was a homeless food stamp case. When I first came here, I was living in Brooklyn, going to Queens for my case. But outside of the shelter system, you ain't got to leave your borough to go to get food stamps. So when I first came here, I came to Bed-Stuy. People knew what they was doing though, because it made me stronger. It made me New York, just to put me there. So I didn't know. They didn't tell me that was Jay-Z neighborhood or Biggie Smalls neighborhood. I didn't know. I was down there on Fulton Street, walking around. But see, that was the true test of character, you know. I had just got here. They didn't even know what I represented or nothing. I went straight to Bed-Stuy. 4 o'clock, it was like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. When I first got here, I went straight to Bed-Stuy. So that's all I know. So I didn't have a chance to get scared of New York because of that. I went straight to Bed-Stuy. How am I gonna be scared of New York? That's what people don't understand. That's why people think it's fraudulent or whatever they think. But I'm a man of God. I'm trying to live right. That's what it is. You know what I'm saying? And most people like me don't understand that. They understand that most definitely. You know what I'm saying? You change your life, but you still 100. You know what I'm saying? You change your life, but at the same time, you'll protect yourself if you got to. You know, and some people can misinterpret how you carry yourself as being fraudulent, but really, you're a man of God that was inclined to do evil in your past, and you know, and you'll handle yourself. You'll protect yourself if you got to. You done been through the system before, or you've been in prison, but you changed your life. And see, some people take it for granted. You know what I'm saying? And that's all it is. And that's what a white boy gonna do. He gonna come in and read, and I'm talking about just by energy. He gonna read you being a Christian, the good part. He gonna misinterpret that for being fraudulent and a lame. You see what I mean? Man, listen, that's the realest stuff I said about that reading stuff. They misinterpreting you as a fraud or a sucker because you got the spirit of Jesus. But in jail, in prison, they would misinterpret that. They would see you as how I'm saying it. You was inclined to do evil, but you became a Christian. Now you a good, but I'ma still know that if you push come to shove, you gonna handle your business if you got to. Cause you here in prison, so I know you ain't no pushover. I don't got nobody, I don't need that spelled out to me. I don't need to test that. You already here, so I already know. You in New York, so I already know. Let's put it down, put it in my situation. You here in New York. You live in Bed-Stuy. I know it goes without saying you done been around a lot of energy from Brooklyn. You done been around a lot of Brooklyn energy. Bed-Stuy, East New York, that's not the same neighborhood, by the way. Maybe some people don't know that. Bed-Stuy and East New York is not the same thing. They in Brooklyn, both of them in Brooklyn, but I stayed in East New York, Bed-Stuy, and Knickerbocker, the Knickerbocker neighborhood. But that's when I was working for Ready, Willing, and Able. So that's 3 spots that I stayed in Brooklyn. Besides here, a white boy will think this is what Bed-Stuy is. Makes sense? I'm talking about these gang stalkers following people around. They'll equate this to Bed-Stuy. This ain't Bed-Stuy. Utica Avenue, all of this over here. This ain't nothing like that. This ain't nothing like East New York or Bed-Stuy. Bottom line, I done walked through Marcy Projects. I know what Marcy Projects is. That's what I'm trying to show you. Where Jay-Z from, where these white boys want to see what Jay-Z from. I already been through Marcy Projects. That's when I first got here. I'm just letting you know what kind of people I was around. It had to be people around, right? Okay then. Okay, so then that's my point. Is look at all the people I was around. You can't hide, especially in New York, you can't hide from the block. I was right there. I was in Bed-Stuy. I was right there walking through Marcy. Even when I had to go to the food stamp office, and everybody know, that's on the other side of Marcy. Now that's how it used to be. People that really lived over there, they'll tell you, okay, yeah, you got Fulton Street and then Marcy. Then on the other side of Marcy, it's gonna be the train station and the hospital all up there, and then you got the food stamp place where you gotta go do your comply for your food stamps. Where you go in the building, where you go in the room and fill out 4 applications a day. That's what we had to do. Stuff that the people doing right now, complying for food stamps. We had to do that when I first came to New York. They must have got rid of it. But when I first got here, I had to go and apply for 4 jobs every day. That was part of complying to having food stamps. So I was doing that on the other side of Marcy. You got Fulton Street, and then you got the other side, where you go up to the train station and all of that, and the hospital. So you know I've been over here. Yeah, man. And my point is this. How you think I'm going to walk through all those people undetected for anything, and I ain't get flagged for nothing, and everybody see me as another black man from the South, cause that's what it was. How you seeing something that they didn't see, and I lived in Bed-Stuy and all of that, walking through Marcy and everything. How you finding something on me and all them other people didn't? And you see, that's the arrogance, that's the offense that people feel, because they like, well, he was over here with us. That's how we looking at it. So then if something was wrong, we would have easily detected that with how he interact with the community. We was kids out there, it was teenagers. He ain't raised no red flags whatsoever. He ain't raised no red flags when he was in Bed-Stuy and walking through Marcy at times. He ain't raised no red flags. Okay, so then who these other people supposed to be? And see, that's how you offend other people. Well, I done got reputation in other places that you want to ignore it. Nah, buddy. I don't need you to authenticate who I am. I'm already authenticated. You just can't tell. You just can't accept it. You just can't accept it. I don't need you to stamp me. I don't need you to vouch for me. I already got respect. I already lived through Bed-Stuy. You know what I'm saying? So that's just like all I'm saying, bro. That's all I'm saying. And put Los Angeles in there while you at it, on the West Coast. Where some of these people in Bed-Stuy, no disrespect, but you scared to go. You scared to go to Los Angeles. You know what I'm saying? Let's keep it real. You scared to live in Los Angeles based on the things you seen on TV, things. I lived there. I went there. I went straight from Brooklyn to Los Angeles. My ticket said from New York to Los Angeles. I was living in Bed-Stuy at the shelter. I left the shelter and went straight to Los Angeles. After Brooklyn, the first time I came here, the first time I left and went to Los Angeles, straight to Los Angeles. So I went straight from Brooklyn to straight to Los Angeles on ground level. On ground level. Meaning I was down in society. Even though I was in a shelter, I was down in society. It's no fraudulence, man. It's no room. I'm gonna tell the truth for what it is. Ain't no lie in me. I don't lie. I don't need to lie. Because I'm not afraid of anything. When people lie, they're afraid. That's a sign that you're afraid. If you ain't afraid, whether you're a good or bad person, you ain't gonna lie because you don't care. You ain't afraid of nobody. I'm not afraid of America. So then why am I lie? I know what all this is about. This is about a female with my brother. All that other stuff, whatever you want to talk about, you ain't gonna ever find me as a grown man with children. And that's it. That's all I gotta, I can stop right there and it's over. And that's it. I don't gotta explain nothing to you. When you feel like I gotta explain something to you, that means you think I'm scared of you. That means you think you bad enough to intimidate me. You not. Listen, all I gotta explain to you is you ain't got no charges. And you ain't never seen me as a grown man with a child. And that's it. I don't gotta explain my whole life to you. And that's what you acting like. That's how I take it. I mean, so, okay, you don't have no charges. You don't have nothing on me. Okay, so what else is there to explain? What else is there to explain? That's where you out of pocket right there, bro. That's where you out of pocket right there. I don't gotta explain nothing to you. My freedom speaks for itself. If I was guilty, I would be locked up. If I was guilty, I would not be free. If I was guilty, I would have charges that you could see. You don't see no charges. Ain't nothing you can see. So you think I'm somebody to play with. And that's how I interpret it. Because if it would be somebody that you were scared of, you would have been let it go. You would be glad that ain't no charges on this person. He ain't doing nothing in public. But you think I'm somebody to play with. And that's all it is. And how we know for sure? How we know for sure? How we know for sure? Because if it was somebody that you were scared of, or you feel like it was somebody that was just as tough as you will be glad to let it go. You will be glad to let this go. Okay then, so then you're not glad to let it go, even though you know you don't got nothing on me, right? Okay, so that means you think I'm somebody to play with. It don't mean that I'm guilty. See, I'm smart. See, that's smarter than the average person. It doesn't mean that I'm guilty because you would have let it go, seeing that if I was somebody else that you were scared of, you would have let it go long time ago. You think I'm somebody to play with. When the truth is, man, listen, bro, I don't have no problem with catching a body, bro. I have no problem with that. Especially with all I've been through. You also are ignorant people that want to see this go on and on. And see, that's another group of people that white people cannot detect. We can detect it as black people because we know black people. It's a certain type of black person that want to see this go on and on and on because they ghetto. They like sipping tea. And that's all it is. They don't care what the truth is. They just want to see a show go on and on. Okay then, I know what I'm talking about. So hey, listen, you can't fake that. So then what do I do with people like that? I have to eliminate anybody that think it's a game with my life, that at my expense, you sip tea about my life and play games with my life at my expense. I have to eliminate you. And it don't matter what you do. It don't matter if you black. It don't matter what group you with. I don't care about that. You are a human being that's playing with my life. You like sipping tea. This is fun and games to you, and I have to eliminate you. See, that's what a righteous African would say, and that's all it is. It ain't nothing else going on. See, I told y'all a long time ago, It's a war between the righteous Africans and the wicked Africans. That's the best way to tell you. And a white boy ain't gonna come in and interpret it like that. He ain't gonna ever. You know how long it'll take him to say that, those exact words I just said? You know how long it would take him to say that? Maybe years, maybe decades, where he got to see all this stuff. This is a war between the righteous Africans and the wicked Africans. That's all it is. And because they're stuck on stupid, right? And witchcraft is like their religion, they ain't gonna let it go. Because that's like their religion. You see what I'm saying? That's what's making them zealous to be running around. Because this is like their religion. And finally, they think they found somebody that is the opposite of them, that they can fight. Think about it. These people probably have nobody really to really fight. Not really. And now you found somebody you think you can fight. And you're staying in your position because you look at witchcraft or telepathy or mind reading as almost your religion. Like you're zealous over it, like somebody's zealous about their religion, right? That's all it is. And for white America, that's why it won't stop. Because you got these black people that treat their witchcraft like it's their religion. So how you gonna get them off of it? When they act like it's their religion and they want to defend it like they defending their religion, which really ain't nobody opposing them one-on-one, because that time is over as far as I go. Man, I done bodied all type of witchcraft people and everything in between. Psychics, telepaths, mind readers. How you think I can just tell you what it is? Well, I looked it up in a book. I didn't look it up in a book. And I didn't find it online on the internet either. Man, I just lived life and I was able, as a spiritual person, to identify all these different positions. You got these mind readers, these witchcraft people, and all they trying to do also is another reason they won't let it go is because they act like this is their moment for America to see who they are. We don't care who you are. That's what it is. They trying to make at my expense, they're trying to make this their moment to be recognized by the Americans. And that goes as far as witchcraft, telepathy, psychic power, mind reading, and everything in between. They think this is their moment for everybody to know who they are and what they can do. Okay, so then with that being said, why would they let it go? Why would they stop? When they think this is their moment and this is their religion. You see how they looking at it? They think this is their moment. Retarded, right? Yeah, it's your moment. It's almost World War III. That's the moment. That's your moment. Almost World War III. See, they thought I was just a religious little boy and they would just torture me and get me out the way. They probably thought it ain't nothing but a set of beliefs that he got. But just because he stand for that, we can just kill him and have fun because that's what he's known for, is this type of religion. We'll just have fun killing this person. How you feel about that now? Listen, man. You did the worst thing you could do. You know what the worst thing you could do in spirituality, or for who you oppose or you consider your enemy? The worst thing you could do is oppose a prophet of God. I can kill a whole country because of my position. And now you realize that. I've been told these people this. And then when you found out I was spiritual, you looked at me like a little toy to play with. This is the truth. Once you did realize, okay, I think he is kind of spiritual. I think this person is spiritual. Okay, then you thought to intensify your approach to me, right? Bad decision. I'm breaking down the decisions they made. Bad decision. Bad decision. I'm breaking down all the politics. Now, if you sit up here and listen to me and halfway believe this and halfway believe that, listen, bro, you ain't gonna make it. You ain't gonna make it. I don't listen. I talk so fast that you could think I'm talking just out of what I believe, my opinion. This is me being fluent as a master to show you. This is years and years of seeing this stuff, and now I just know how it is. Like second nature. It's second nature to me to explain it. I know everything they do. I'm a veteran. See, what they didn't realize, I was a veteran. And I was inclined to do evil. And some people not. So then when you fake God, so I become a soldier that you face on the battlefield that was more darker than you and more evil than you. The only difference is I became a Christian. But I was more evil than you, and every little thing you do, I was way worse than you. I was way darker than you. That's why I tell people all the time. I was darker than you at 16. My mom used to kneel down at my door, at the base of my door, and pray in my room. That's how dark it was. That's how dark I was. She told me she used to kneel down at the door and pray for me. That's the energy and things she was sensing that was going on in my room. All the music I was listening to, all the stuff I was into. And I changed. She prayed for me and I changed. But ultimately it took years, and I made my own decision. That's why most people that know I'm a Christian, like, I can't believe I'm one of them type of people. Much as you used to smoke weed and all of that stuff, I can't believe he a Christian. I'm one of them people. I ain't one of them people people were like, well, that's just a good old boy. I can see how he became a Christian. He always was a sweet little boy. They told me as a kid I was a bad kid. When I grew up, see, people used to look at my brother's face and act like he was bad. That's just kind of nothing really. People told me by my actions I was a bad kid. They said, you was bad. See, some kids, I believe, are inclined to do evil, bro. I just think about what I'm saying. If you live long enough, you realize some people are inclined to do good. They're just a good-natured person. You can look at them and tell. You can just look at them and they look like a good person. And then you got some people, they literally look like they evil. They can't help it. That's how they look. You ever met a person like that? You just look at them and you think they're evil. You're not a judgmental person, but you just look at this person. They just look like a creature of evil. I truly believe some people are inclined to do evil and some people are inclined to do good. And they wind up doing good. You got them in your family like that. Just good nature. Your favorite uncle, he probably go to church, don't he? Your favorite auntie, you know which one I'm talking about. She go to church, don't she? Because she's inclined to do good. Your uncle is inclined to do good. That's why it's almost like it's been a world stage of those inclined to do good and those inclined to do evil. And that's really what it is. See how that sounds? That's basically what humanity is. And God gets those who are inclined to do evil. When he get us, we go all the way in. Once I was inclined to do evil and I became a righteous man. Once I became a righteous man, I went all the way. I did what some Christians don't do. That's why I don't pay attention to them. Because some of them are in the church and you was inclined to be a good person. So really, your Christianity is not really on fire. You know, you just fed into good. You feel me? They just fed into good because they already had a nature and they was inclined to do good. So you just kind of fed into it. Like one of our nice uncles or nice aunties or nice granddads or grandfathers. You just kind of fed into it. So then you ain't gonna be on fire. Like let's fight these enemies. You gonna be scared. Some of y'all gonna be scared of these people. But then me, I've been robbed at gunpoint and all that stuff. I've been through all kind of stuff. That's as a kid. I got robbed at gunpoint as a child. And that don't register for white America. That don't register for America. I was robbed at gunpoint as a child. You can't ever paint me as fraudulent. I got real stories, that's why. So then, I'm not gonna fear no people out there. I don't care what they stand for. We gonna treat it like a war. We gonna treat it like it's the streets. We gonna go to war. And that's what we gonna do. But see, if you didn't come from being inclined to be evil, you might not be as hardcore as me. You see what I'm saying? If this was a movie, it'd make perfect sense. Somebody that was evil became good. But so how you think he gonna be over there? He gonna be 100. He gonna be kicking people around on the other side on evil. He gonna be fighting these people. He gonna be able to fight them because he know them. He been through all this stuff to where now he got this strong, brutal style of fighting in war. That's what I represent. You know what I'm saying? That's why God don't allow nobody to play with me, because you can say what you want to say, right? But God knows what it really is. You know what I'm saying? I was inclined to do evil. You know what I'm saying? You can't read it like that now because God has changed me, and the more I change, you ain't gonna see none of that. But the mind and the heart and the soul is something that you don't know. You can't hardly see it. You can't see who I am. But all you need to realize is I'll protect myself if I have to. And I've always been that way. I've been esteemed as, when I was out there, as crazy by people that shoot guns and cripple people and put them in wheelchairs. I had a cousin that I used to do felonies with. Me and him, he shot people and put them in wheelchairs. He called me crazy. And this dude done shot people and put them in a wheelchair for the rest of their life. I'm talking about real stuff. That's what I'm saying. See, you listening to my brother, how can he all he can do is tell his side. He can't tell all sides. Nobody can do that. Because it's certain things that they didn't see. It's certain things that they don't know. That's common sense. That's why you can't make no one person the source of all information. You stupid if you do that. I don't make no one person the source of who somebody is. So if you a clown and you did that, listen, I don't know what to tell you. I'm gonna go to the person himself, and I'm gonna ask him all his stories and real stories. And when that person tell me all this stuff, I'm gonna be like, hold up, I don't know. This person was esteemed a way totally different than who he really is. That's right, because now you understand you have been a victim of a person that paint narratives. That's why this term became big in our society, because that in the modern day and times, and I'm just saying this, and don't take this the wrong way, but this was a word that wasn't even in black people's vocabulary back in the 80s and 90s. And I'm talking about even the best of us. We ain't even have that term in our vocabulary, narratives, in the context of painting narratives or certain narratives. We didn't even know what that meant, most black people. You just now figured that out in the past 5 to 6, 7 years. What a narrative is. This is why it's important to educate yourself, because the more words you understand, the more realization of things that are done in society and the different dynamics of the world. So you think you don't need to understand words, like in a dictionary. Well, how you gonna understand all the complexity of life? You think you know it, and you don't. See, once you become an adult, you have to understand different terms, because adult human beings are very complex. And so it ain't just as light as day. Good, evil, nice person, mean person. There's other terms to describe this person. And you ain't gonna get it out of the terms that you know. So then you have to get all these other terms to understand the complexity of human nature. So with that being said, narratives is something that recently came up in our community. You know what I mean? And this is when people will pull together certain information to make you see this person a certain way. That's all they did. All they did was paint certain narratives to make you see me a certain way. But how I bust through it is just showing you all the information. I show you all the information, it destroys the narrative. It makes it look corny. It makes it look stupid. Now you see me as the who I am. Now you see what you play with, and see a lame gonna want to change that narrative. You're gonna want to change the truth because it doesn't fit your narrative, and you realize how much trouble you in. See, the first thing you're gonna realize is you're in trouble. Oh, he's nothing like we were told. And the first thing a coward gonna do is try to fight to preserve the narrative that you was told, and it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work, buddy. This is who I am, whether you like it or not. See, a clown gonna keep sticking to the narrative, but you clearly see who I am. I told y'all I went through the system, everything. I done been arrested. I done had people. I've been a dude that's been pulled over by the police, and I got a warrant. I've been one of them dudes. Some people ain't never been pulled over and randomly by the police, and you just so happen to have a warrant. I'm one of them dudes. And that don't tell you who I am. When I get randomly pulled over by the police, and they just randomly find out there's a warrant out for my arrest, and I just randomly get arrested when I was doing something else, that tells you what type of person I am. Now, if you're a clown, which many of you are, you're still thinking about that narrative that you heard. And this is what God gonna hold you responsible for. We know you fake because you won't let the narrative go with the truth. Because you're too scared. Now you out there with this fake narrative, right? You out there with this fake narrative and you don't know what to do. Listen, man, this is how you need to be told. This is what you need to be told. You shouldn't have never came out playing with nobody that you didn't know. And that's the liability that you got. You can't make no excuses for it. Nope. I ain't never done it a day in my life. I ain't never came out here playing around somebody and that I don't know. And I'm just after this person, and I don't even know this person, and I don't really know what to believe, and I ain't never looked this person eye to eye as a human being and talk to them as a human being. Nah. I don't make those mistakes, and that's how you know who from the jungle and who's not. Well, I figure it that most of these people are suburban people. They was raised in the suburbs. Bill Cosby people, Huxtables, the Huxtables. They was raised like the Huxtables, because you ain't gonna see the grid of the jungle with the principles like we do that really lived in the hood. You're going to go by Hollywood and stuff in the movies and the things you've seen in the music and all of that. And you're going to have these extremities when the hood ain't like that. Perfect example. You thought you was going to bring me to Brooklyn, and Brooklyn was going to want to do something to me. They don't want to do nothing to me, do they? You know how I know? Because the hood don't go to no extremities like you do. You thought you would drag me over here and put these politics out here and somebody would want to hurt me. That's what you thought. And it didn't work. That's what it was, because the hood ain't gonna do that. I'm gonna tell you the first thing the hood gonna do. They gonna ask for, it ain't that they stupid, it's just how we live. They gonna ask you for charges and some type of charge that shows the nature of what you're talking about. That this person being at least locked up for something like this. Where we can say, well, right here for sure, this is the nature of this person. Right here, for sure. For sure, this, besides that other stuff we don't really know about. For sure, this charge shows us for sure that what this person did this. You ain't got none of that. So then guess what that means? That means I'm a normal person. That's what it means. Just like anybody else. You ain't gonna go find some random person that got child molesting charges and sexual abuse charges or lewd sexual acts in public or something like that. You ain't gonna find no random person with those type of charges. They gonna be a normal person. And so no matter how bad it hurts your ego, you have to accept that I'm a normal person. And that's what you're struggling with. What you're struggling with right now is that I'm a normal person that you play with. And the worst part that's on your chest, the worst heaviness on your chest is, I'm a man of God. That makes it worse. I'm a man of God. That makes it 10 times, a million times worse. A billion, trillion times worse. Because you got to explain all of this to God. And you can't. You can't. I can explain, and God understands your position. You are people that's connected to the ignorant culture of America. And you thought, and that music and all that stuff is what's driving you. That's the main thing. All that music. That's why I don't even listen to that music no more like I used to. I don't want nothing to do with it. And many black people don't want nothing to do with it no more. They tired of it. All that ratchet music and all that stuff. People think they so bad. You know, it disgusts you. I can't stand people like that. Think they so bad. I'm not one of them people. I'm just showing you who I am. I'm supposed to do that, especially in this situation. I'm supposed to be standing up and speaking for myself. Because who else gonna do it better than me? Nobody. Not even my family can't do it better than I can do it. I'm supposed to be talking about my life like this. That's why it keeps coming up. That's why it keeps coming up. I'm supposed to talk like this. And see, you just gotta listen, man. I'm gonna tell you what you gotta do. If you started all these problems, you gotta come out of the matrix of the future. I'm gonna tell you what a dead man gotta do. A dead man gotta come out of the matrix of the future. What's ahead, what you want to do with your life, and people protecting you, and people saving you. Get rid of all of that. Get rid of all of that, because see, now you're out the matrix of real life. You a dead man. When a dead man is a dead man, you are out the matrix of any of these things. You don't need to be concerned about the future. You don't need to be concerned about any. See what I'm saying? You lose total attention to the future and people protecting you, because ain't nobody gonna protect you. So you just out there like a dead man. See, what got you stuck is you think you got to do something in the future. No, you don't. Ain't nothing for you to do in the future. You dead. And you think America can save you from that fate, and they can't. All you gonna do is drag them down with him. All you gonna do is drag them down with your fate. And you're not worth that. You should just throw yourself out to the community, man. Because they ain't gonna let you go. You cause too many problems. They seen who I am. It don't take nobody, humans can see other humans. Like Bob Marley said, you can fool the people half the time. But you can't fool the people all the time. They did. They fooled y'all half the time. You can fool the people half the time, but you can't fool them all the time, bro. That's all this is, another cautionary tale of the truth coming to the light. People seeing me for who I am and seeing all these butthurt black people as they are. Bob Marley said, I'm not on your black people's side, white people's side. I am on God's side. Bob Marley said, I ain't on black people's side. I ain't on your side. Because you the one out here caused this problem. I ain't on white people's side because they the one made the circus of this whole situation. And so you got black people and white people blaming each other for why all this happened. But the truth is, both of y'all are liable. And we're not on either one of your side. And so for that reason, you can call me a sellout. But Bob Marley said it. He said it first. I'm not on black people's side. No, I'm not on your side. See, that's the part you miss. It went in one ear and out the other, and you as a simpleton, as a simp, really didn't understand what he was saying. Think about the complexity of life when it comes down to all these struggles, and whose side are you on through these struggles? You know what Bob Marley said to that? I'm not on black people's side. I'm not on white people's side. What you think he was referring to? These real complex struggles of life. That's what he's referring to. Because they're both liable. They both are liable. We can't just say it's white people. We can't just say it's black people. White people the one took it to the next level. I'm going to tell you how you need to hear it. Black people started it, right? As far as I go. They started this. But white people the one took it to the next level. They the one took it all everywhere. Let's talk about their part. Because they love to talk. This is what they saying about you. You want me to tell you what white people saying about you behind your back? You black people the one started this. We didn't start the fire. That's what a white boy was insinuating in California. We did not start the fire. I catch on very easily. Okay, yeah, you didn't start the fire. But you sure poured a lot of gasoline on that fire, buddy. You poured gasoline, diesel fuel, kerosene. You put kerosene on the fire, didn't you? You put kerosene, this diesel. Knowing you need all that oil right now. Knowing you need all that gas right now. You need every drop of that gas right now, don't you? But you added all of this gas to the fire, didn't you? You the one that made the circus out of this situation. Black people don't have enough to make it all like this circus. They don't got enough. No, not in America. You the one made it like this. White people the one made it like this big old carnival, like this circus. Black people couldn't have done that without the white man's permission. Even if it was black people, they couldn't do it without the white man's permission. So you're still liable. In fact, for it to get from one bridge side to the other, you had to give permission. For it to continue, you had to give permission. For this to be consistent, you had to give permission. Right or wrong? Okay. See, so you mentioning that you didn't start it no longer matters. It's irrelevant information when it comes to pointing out the liabilities it is. See? You just as liable as black people in this situation. Okay, so we don't want to hear who started it now. That's irrelevant. This is how professional I am. I'm not pointing my fingers at anybody at this point. What we have to do is proceed against everybody. And they didn't think we would last. They wouldn't think we would be able to do it. But now people are starting to believe we can do it. I knew we could do it. I knew God's kingdom is above America. America ain't nothing to God's kingdom. And now you know. Now you know, buddy. You know, another country is one thing. God's kingdom is a whole different animal. You listen, you're a fool. That's your position. You listen, you crying tears of a clown. Do 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 do. You crying tears of a clown. That's all it is. You ain't gonna get out of that. It ain't no way out. Whether we live or die, you not getting out of it. That's how you need to hear it. Because you'll think if we die, then it's over. No, it's not. Man, God ain't letting you get away with this. This is over. If you were smart, the best thing you could have done was you should have got the money to make it better. You should have got money for me. You might say, oh, well, we gang stalked a whole bunch of people. Well, listen, man. All I can say, man, when you gang stalk a prophet, listen, buddy, I would have got that money for at least a profit. That's real. That's real, bro. But you didn't. Okay, so I ain't no longer talking about no money no more. Cause listen, I'm smart enough to know you ain't gonna get the money anyway. You know why? Because you feel like it's the end anyway. Why do it? You feel like the world is so messed up. Why should you get the money? I know how Americans think. You thinking the world is so messed up. Why should I get any money? It ain't gonna change nothing. See, that's what a child would say. I expect that of a child. A grown man gonna say, well, I redeemed myself. At least before I died, I redeemed myself. See, it's things that real men care about that you don't care about. Redemption. See, that's a whole nother lane, ain't it? You see, that's 7 hours. That's a whole different lane. That's a whole different caliber of person where you care about redemption. You can't talk to a sucker or a buster about redemption. They don't care about it. They just gonna fold and cry when all things fall apart. They ain't even gonna try to fight for redemption. Cause I don't know, I can't tell you what would happen if I get monetary justice, justice in the form of monetary, justice in the form, this is a term I coined, monetary justice. Because apologies are not good enough. Apologies are for children. You apologize to children. Children apologize to each other. Apology is not good enough for a grown man. That's what I told this woman in California. She bumped all into me. I'm like, she drunk in the store. She's all bumped all on me. I'm like, well, hold up, man, how like that? She was like, she was drunk or high or something. Oh, I'm sorry. I said, listen, man, I told this woman, this white woman, this was a white woman. I said, look, I'm in California checking this woman. I told her, I said, look, man, apologies are for children. And she probably remembered that for the rest of her life. Apologies is for children. You don't, listen, ain't no grown man. See, some people with a hitch in the face or anything. You leaning all on them and stuff. And what was, I think it was, yeah, it was before COVID. But you leaning all on me and everything, and I don't know you. Some people would have hit you all in your face, smacked you all. Some men would have smacked you all in your face. Because if I do the same thing to you, you almost ready to holler rape. He trying to rape me. You see how I look at it? But you leaning all on me and everything like I ain't nothing. Oh, I'm sorry. No, listen. Apologies are for children. You teach your children to verbally apologize, to take responsibility for their actions. You don't, by the time you're a grown man, you shouldn't be apologizing verbally anymore. You should be doing stuff as an apology. If you're a grown man or woman and you handed people IOUs like Dumb and Dumber, when he put all the IOUs in a suitcase, that's the equivalent of you talking about you sorry after all you done. Well, I owe you. That is just as good as real money. Remember Jim Carrey? Well, those IOUs, he wrote out a whole bunch of IOUs. Those IOUs is just as good as real money. That's how you sound when you apologize after gang stalking. Those apologies are good as money. Me trying to be your friend is good as money. Me trying to be cool with you is just as good as money. No, it's not. No, it's not, buddy. No, it's not. Ask a grown man which one is better. Oh, I would feel a lot better if I was somewhere in my own little place on some land drinking Chardonnay, grilling some chicken on the grill. I want to be somewhere in the backyard drinking a Chardonnay, grilling chicken on the grill, buddy. That's how you know I'm a real man. I would feel a lot better than a verbal apology from you. Listen, buddy, listen. As a grown man, you should not still be verbally apologizing to anyone. As a grown woman, you should not be still verbally apologizing to anyone. By now, your apology should be expressed as a mature, sophisticated adult, where people understand your apology beyond verbal articulation, to where your apology is expressed non-verbally through different dynamics that you express towards a person. When you raise a child, you might see your daughter or your son push down a kid in a sandbox, right? You bring and drag your child over there. Yeah, that's what some American parents do. You drag your child, you drag your child over there, and you say, I want you to come, and I want you to go apologize to that child. And so your child goes over there. I'm sorry for pushing you down. Well, why are you sorry? I'm sorry for pushing you down. Tell her you're sorry again. I'm sorry. Now, by the time that child grows up, it understands the concept of taking responsibility for their actions. See, what the problem is, half of y'all ain't being raised right. Well, it's all come down to how you've been raised. That's what it all come down to too. Whether you are inclined to do evil or you're inclined to do good, you still got people that ain't raised right and they inclined to do good. You got people that hide behind what they inclined to do, but the truth is you wasn't raised right. You wasn't raised to do good. You wasn't raised to do good. No, you wasn't. What good you was raised to do? Well, tell me the good that your family told you to do. You wasn't raised to do nothing. See, even though you take responsibility for your actions, as a grown man, you was raised a certain way. And you do have to give room for how people was raised. Well, how would they know? So what we're dealing with is a war between people raised right and people that wasn't raised right. Ain't no way in the world you could have possibly, on the average situation, you could have been raised right doing what you're doing. You wasn't raised right. Your parents didn't tell you how to show you how to take responsibility for your actions by first verbally apologizing to people. And then piggybacking off of that later on in life and showing you that by the time you're a grown man or woman, whether it's in a relationship or outside of a relationship, you should not still be verbally apologizing like that's good enough. It's not good enough. It's not, no verbal apology is good enough for a grown man. So then what? We do what the American courts do. When you sue somebody, you don't sue them for a verbal apology, do you? When you sue somebody, you sue them for monetary justice. Justice and apologies in the form of monetary. Nobody ain't trying to hear I'm sorry. They taking you to small claim courts and you gonna pay for what you've done. You gonna pay your apology. You gonna pay. You gonna show people you're sorry by financially paying for it. Literally, no pun intended. You're going to financially pay for it. So it ain't no need to talk to a man as sophisticated as I am about some verbal apology or some social expression of apology. Because you might have not considered, I don't even care about no friends. You ever thought about that? I don't care about fitting in with black people. I don't care about fitting in with white people. I don't care about fitting in with America. You ever thought about that? So why would I care about it? Why would I value that when you trying to present that to me as an IOU like Dumb and Dumber? Listen, buddy, the Bible says money answers all things. That's what the Bible says. The only scripture on money that people know is the love of money is the root of all evil. The love, not money, the love. There's another scripture that you might not know because you're not a Christian. Money answers all things. It answers the problem that you have with the prophet. Well, I'm just putting it in there. I'm just filling in the blanks. Money answers the problem you have with the prophet. Not trying to hurt him, not trying to incriminate him, because all you're doing is making God more angry. Trying to incriminate me, and here you are marrying children in America. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, you don't think God looks at that? Of course he does. Because we don't care what they do anywhere else. We're judged. Obviously, you don't care what they do everywhere else. Well, why you didn't say nothing about people marrying children or having sex with children when you was judging me? But oh, when it comes to judging you, now we're talking about what people do in the rest of the world. Now we talking about what other people do in the rest of the world. Boy, you didn't consider that when you judged me. So why would God consider that when he judges you? Well, maybe you're not smart enough to just understand what I just said. You wasn't talking about nothing about what they do in the rest of the world until it came to you. Until you was liable. But before you was liable, when you was talking about me, you didn't consider what they did in the rest of the world. You see how you played yourself? So then why, with all that you did against me, and you didn't consider what y'all was doing in the rest of the world, why would you think God would give you the luxury of defending yourself now with that information? Well, you didn't defend me with that information, did you? Okay, so then listen, buddy. You can't Jedi mind trick the best, buddy. This is what the Bible also says. The way you judge others, you shall be judged the same way you judge others. Not a different way, not considering what they do in the rest of the world. No, we gonna judge you based on how you judge somebody else. And you know how you judge me? You know how you judge me? You judge me like anything under 18 is uncivilized. And that's how you started. Then you try to incorporate another narrative of, well, just little babies is off limits. You didn't say that in the beginning. See, if you're smart, you realize what I'm saying. They didn't say that in the beginning. In the beginning, when they first started gang stalking me, they said all children under 18 is uncivilized, until you realized you had a liability concerning the same perspective. Then you tried to switch it up. I watched everything. Then you tried to switch it up, acting like kids in diapers is what we desire, knowing it ain't no evidence of nothing foolish like that. Knowing darn well we ain't think about no babies. Knowing darn well you ain't seen me ever think about no babies. But in order for the narrative of me being a sexual deviant to fit, when you are liable having sex with teenage girls, then you gotta make it seem like now we're tweaking what we believe he is, which is somebody that like babies. But not teenagers, because if I like teenagers, then you like teenagers, then you can't hold me liable. So to keep this narrative alive, you gotta lower what you think I desire. You gotta lower what age of child you think I'm into. But this is how we got you. In the beginning, you insinuated through the children you used in gang stalking, you used teenage girls. I seen it. Yes, you did. In the beginning of the gang stalking, in my situation, you used every age of child. I seen you. So you didn't just say, oh, well, it's just the babies that's off. You ain't had no situation with me with babies. Okay then. So then you listen, you insulting my intelligence, buddy. You was insinuating, like most Americans do and I do, that all children is off limits. This is how we figure it out. What's the average person gonna say in America? Can you have sex with teenage girls? Or that's maybe 16, 15, 17, 14? Or is the standard of most Americans is after 18, you're supposed to have sex with anybody after 18? Let's talk about the American standard. What is the American standard? For those who are cultured, that we allow ourselves to have sex with 16-year-old girls? What they're insinuating is okay now? 17-year-old girls, 15-year-old girls? Did you ever see that insinuation in our society? Did you hear anybody ever talk like that? Did you hear anybody ever say it's okay to have sex with a 16-year-old girl? Did you ever hear anybody say that in America? No, you did not. No, you did not. What our standard was here was that, and I know this because I lived here, 18 is the first age acceptable for sex. That's what we insinuated in our culture and in our community and the politicians. But then we find out in the middle of that fake synthetic standard of living that you never lived up to, we found out that you was marrying children the whole time. So then you found out the medium of what age it was, and then you say that was cool. Now you're saying that's cool, but you wasn't saying it was cool before. When you was judging me, you wasn't saying it was cool before. You were saying any age of children. And you insinuated that with the children that you weaponized in gang stalking. If I see you using teenage girls, right? And they kind of like almost like around the 10, 12, or 13, 14 age, that tells me you saying that's off limits, right? But then when you found out that you was sexualizing those same ages, now you trying to talk and insinuate babies. You see what I'm saying? Look at the switch up. Now look what they gang stalking with. The children in carriages, children in strollers, baby children, to try to insinuate that you like babies, because now the narrative of teenage girls, they're liable in that narrative. That's what you was doing. That's what you was doing. You think you slick. And ain't no way in the world God gonna let you make it, insinuating that I like babies in diapers or something. Ain't no way in the world God gonna let you get away with it, buddy. You don't think we know? I do know. I'm just responding differently than you think I'm supposed to respond. I ain't losing my mind, and I ain't frantic, and I ain't going crazy. And that's how you know God is with me. Yeah, ain't nobody trying to hear that. You switched up the standard. You ask any black man or any white man in America, and they gonna tell you what age should you be having sex with a child. 16, 17, 15, 14? That's A, right? B, over 18. Ain't no American I know gonna say, 16, 14, 15, and all of that. Nope. You never, and here's the punchline. Ask them the next question, if you ever insinuated that in your culture, that we can have sex with 15-year-old girls and 16 and 14-year-old girls. You never insinuated that in the culture. That was nowhere in the movies. So for it to be in the movies as a standard that we project culturally, we would have to have seen men married to children in a movie. Why we ain't see it in the movie? Why we ain't see it insinuated in the music? Why we didn't see it insinuated with the politicians? Why the politicians didn't talk about it? The politicians ain't never talk about a grown man can be with 16-year-old girls. When, you see what I'm saying? When was that soundbite articulated ever? When did you ever hear an American acknowledge what they're actually doing? Able to marry children at 16, 17, and 15. Show me somebody that produced a soundbite that was acceptable for America. You can't show me one person that said it, by way of politician, famous people, and everything. All the people, the community, and everything. These neighborhood watch people and everything. They don't know this. Neighborhood watch people, you a joke. You didn't even know your country was marrying children. But you talking about neighborhood watch. Can't be serious. And that's why we on y'all head like that. See, I broke it down and passed it all around. Now, if you don't listen, I shouldn't have to go back and say it again. If you smart as you claim to be, I shouldn't have to say it again. But see, that's what I try to show you. You're a mind reader. You're not an intelligent person. If you was an intelligent person, I wouldn't have to explain this to you. You would have been thinking about it on your own. Why I gotta explain it then? Because you're not as intelligent as you think you are. You had all the time in the world to see the same thing that I'm talking about, but you're not intelligent as you project yourself to be. You thought because you could read minds and psychics and telepathy, you thought that mean you is you an intelligent person. No, you're not. You're not, man. That's just what it is. And it ain't nothing you can build on me. Ain't no case you can build on me with y'all marrying children. Ain't nobody trying to hear that. You insult my intelligence. That's a clown. That's a white boy clown in America that can sit up and ride around after we found out you marrying children. That's a clown. And like I said before, if I was one, I wouldn't feel bad about it with you marrying children in your country. Well, I would feel normal. I would feel like, hey, here's somebody I can relate to. They doing the same thing. That's only a person that understands human being and human nature that's intelligent can say something like that. If I knew you was marrying children, I would feel totally normal about feeling sexual feelings towards children. I would feel totally normal. If you have sexualized children as young as 1 year old, Officer Shadrick Jones, he sexualized a child that was 1 year old. You can go look his name up. Police Officer Shadrick Jones, down in Iberville, Louisiana. I'm educated. Down in Iberville, Louisiana, Shadrick Jones made a black mother perform a sex act on her 1 year old child. The child was 1 year old. He came to her house to serve a traffic violation ticket, and when he was there, he forced the woman, asked the police to perform fellatio on her own child. She gave oral sex to a 1 year old boy. She gave oral sex to a 1 year old boy. And you talking to, that covers every age. And because it was the police that made her do it, and listen, that holds weight than just one case. That's a cultural weight. And then America didn't say nothing about it. Did America say something about it? Did America say something about it? Black people didn't say nothing about it. That was in 2019. Black Lives Matter didn't say nothing about it. Al Sharpton, even Jesse Jackson, Louis Farrakhan. Nobody said nothing about Officer Shadrick Jones except the prophet. Now you see what I'm saying? I'm the only person that said something about Officer Shadrick Jones making a black mother. This was a black woman. I don't care what her mental health was. She was black. We splitting hairs about whether she was mentally sound or not. Or are you gonna look at the fact that she was an African American woman? Besides her mental health. Which means, listen, she wasn't doing that by herself, was she? She ain't performed no sex acts on her child by herself, did she? No. She only did it no matter whatever her mental health was, she only did it in front of the cops. And he recorded it on his phone. And why didn't the black community say anything about it? Why you ain't say nothing about that? Because see, you really are not a watchdog in that lane. No, you're not. Tell me how the whole black community didn't know nothing about it. This police officer, I don't even care what color he was. I want you to look at him as a suit and a badge. A suit and a badge came and made a black mother perform a sex act on her own child. And the only thing, obviously, she could have been doing is oral sex to the child. What else could she have been doing? And he, as a policeman in America, recorded that. He recorded it. They found the recording in his phone. And you talking about what? A pedophile? The worst case is Officer Shadrick Jones, a black man that had no compassion or sympathy or regard for a black mother and her black child. That makes it even worse. First, he's a police officer. Second, he's a black man that's making this black mother do this. That's two strikes that make it worse. A policeman as opposed to a pedophile on the streets. A policeman and a black man that make a black mother perform a sex act on her 1 year old child. That happened in Iberville, Louisiana. And you telling me what? You talking about what? You talking about a pedophile? You can't be serious, bro. See, when you talk to me, I got the real stories. I got the real information that you can't make up. You can go look it up. Officer Shadrick Jones made a black mother perform a sex act. And Al Sharpton, Louis Farrakhan, Jesse Jackson, when he was alive, none of them said nothing. Black Lives Matter didn't say nothing. Nobody. The Freemasons didn't say nothing. The Freemasons didn't say nothing about no Officer Shadrick Jones. because he was a policeman. CNN didn't say nothing because he was a policeman. Fox News, you can go look, you ain't gonna find no clips on it because he was a policeman. That's why you didn't know about it. That's why they slowly but surely got around it and prosecuted him without you knowing about it. Because they were trying to save the integrity of the police institution in America. That's why they didn't want you to know. Because if you would have knew, listen, buddy, we fumbled that. If you would have knew, that would have destroyed the credibility forever. We'll never have that chance again. You will never have the chance of getting a police where he recorded a mother performing a sex act on a 1-year-old child. 1 year old. You can't even say years old. 1 year old. That's how old the child was. We ain't gonna never have that opportunity again. We ain't gonna never have that credibility again on the police. No, they ain't gonna never do nothing like that again, man. A 1-year-old child in this culture now with the Epstein files, that ain't gonna ever happen. That's over. You got a whole witch hunt against pedophiles now in this culture with the Epstein files and everything they did against me. You ain't gonna never find that happen again. You ain't gonna never get that opportunity again. You ain't gonna never get that credibility again against the police for sexualizing a child as young as 1 year old. That's why they didn't want it to come out in the news. That's what should make you so angry. They did not let this come out. They put it in news outlets where it wouldn't go national too quickly. And then by the time they let it come out, where I figured it out, where I found it out, it was too late. The time had passed. Time had passed. And we didn't even get the chance to protest. Well, let me take you back what would have happened. If once America would have found out, it would have been on CNN, it would have been on Fox News, it would have been on MSNBC, and it would have been on CBS, ABC, and everywhere else. Every news outlet would have told us about a police officer making a woman. See what I'm saying? They didn't want that out there. They didn't want that image out there where a police officer made a woman perform a sex act on a 1 year old child. Look at that. He was standing there, the police. You ain't gonna never get that kind of credibility in America again. You ain't gonna never get that opportunity again. That's what you call, the term we use in modern day, that's what you call fumbling. That's what you call fumble. As far as whistleblowing about these children out here and whistleblowing against the police out here, that's what you call fumbling, bro. You ain't gonna never get a chance to incriminate the police like that. They ain't gonna never make that mistake again because it's too much of a witch hunt culture against pedophiles right now. If not off anything but the strength of the Epstein files, ain't no way in the world you gonna get that. You ain't gonna get no cops out there doing nothing like that again, buddy. That was the end of a time that we were comfortable as a whole American community that nobody don't want to acknowledge when people were doing all kind of questionable stuff with children. 2019 was the last year. After that, we went into this whole witch hunt, pedophile culture from whatever it came from. But before that, I can take you back to 2019 and older times where people did all kind of questionable stuff, man, with children. It's nothing new to us as Americans. Now people want to be holier than thou and self-righteous and act like they don't remember how America used to be. Well, I can take you back with the child marriage. That's all I got to do. I don't have to go back through no particular situations in society. I can take you down through memory lane of child marriage laws in America since 1929. They had child marriage laws since 1929. That means all the good years of America, they was consistently marrying children behind your back when you ain't even know. And that's what you have not incorporated into American history. They was marrying children the whole time. During Nixon, Kennedy, you name them. Reagan, the Bushes, all of this. Clinton, everybody. Donald Trump was in the White House the last time y'all passed new child marriage laws. He was the president. He still has yet to comment. Trump has never commented. As cultured as he tried to come off that he is, he has never commented through all his politics, and you know he talked politics in order to be the president. He talked about everything. But you know he did not talk about publicly child marriage laws in America when child marriage laws got passed while he was the president the first time. While he was the president the first time, they passed the new child marriage laws. You know what the new child marriage laws are? In the new times we live in, they passed new child marriage laws. See, if they hadn't done that, then we could just say, oh, well, this is the way America used to think. Nobody ain't thinking like that now. You could say, oh, these was old laws. Ain't nobody thinking about that now. But when you made child marriage laws, that told us right there that you still think it's okay to marry children. You passed these laws July 1st, 2019. This is when you passed the new child marriage laws. That was just, what, 6 years ago? You passed new child marriage laws 6 years ago. This is how I make it relevant to everybody. Trump was in office. The same president you got right now. He was in office when you passed the new child marriage laws. Number two, this is how you see how relevant it is. Trump was the president when it happened. And it was a year before COVID happened. It was a year before COVID-19 happened. So the new child marriage laws were passed a year before COVID-19. That's not relevant enough for you? That the new child marriage laws that they passed to marry children were passed the direct year before COVID-19. So you made new child marriage laws a year before COVID. Just a year. In fact, it wasn't even a full year. Because COVID was on the scene January, you passed these laws in July. It wasn't even a full year that these laws were passed. It was in months' time before COVID. Man, that's awful. You passed new child marriage laws in months' time before COVID-19. And see, so now you're up to date. If you're smart, you're going to stay up to date and stop playing in my face. When y'all just passed new child marriage laws months before COVID came. Now, do you think anybody should be talking about a pedophile now? That's why all of this is Jedi mind tricks. Epstein files ain't got nothing on child marriage laws. You can take a child home. That's worse. A pedophile, oh, he might have them for the night or the evening or whatever. Child marriage is forever. Doesn't take a rocket science to see which one is worse. Child marriage is worse than pedophilia. Well, based on the fact that you can take the child home forever, I think that's worse. I'm not the smartest man in the world, but I think it's worse if you, in a child marriage, if you got the child forever. Now you see why I am the way I am. Now add to that all the other crooked stuff they done. All the stuff they done to me. All the stuff they doing now in the world. Add all of that and see if I care about what happens to these people. Now you see, basically, all that has happened is a righteous community has risen up in America that feel totally justified with how they feel about America being their enemy. That's all it is. And you should have knew eventually that was going to happen. Eventually, America was going to make enemies that felt that it was justified being the enemy of America. It's people that feel it's justified. They feel justified about it. I don't feel wrong, no. You play with my integrity, and see, I'm a different type of enemy. America got a lot of enemies. They got Iranian enemies, they got Russian enemies, Chinese, African enemies in Africa. You got all kind of enemies. We all think differently. All of us have different reasons why America is their enemy. The reason why America is my enemy, among their enemies is because they played with my integrity and y'all was marrying children the whole time. And then you passed new child marriage laws while you was gang stalking me. Oh, you was gang stalking me before 2019. You was gang stalking me back in 2018, 2017, 2015, 2014. I count back to 2014. Okay, so that's 5 years before you made new child marriage laws. You were gang stalking me 5 years before child marriage laws came out, buddy. That's 7 hours. Listen, man, you can't get away from that. So in the middle of you gang stalking the prophet, you pass new child marriage laws right in the middle of that. That's unforgivable. All this stuff, no, I want to take you back. All that stuff, all the same politics, that was all, listen, it was at its prime during 2019, if anything. That part, yes it was. All this stuff y'all talking about right now, it was at its prime in 2019. Okay then, that's from coast to coast. And in the middle of that, they passed child marriage laws as the United States of America. And guess what? Here's the punchline. The whole community didn't even know about it. Oh, you knew about it? You knew about the new child marriage laws that were passed while Trump was president? You didn't know. Jay-Z didn't say nothing about it, did he? Did Jay-Z say something about it? Jay-Z, the rapper, did he say something about child marriage laws in America? Did Beyonce, did she say something about child marriage laws? No, she didn't. Did Barack Obama say something about it? Barack Obama came and served 2 terms in the White House. He's never said nothing about child marriage laws one time in his life. Isn't that funny to you? That ain't funny to you. He can get on there and act like he a Malcolm X type of caliber. He can act like he a Malcolm X type of caliber, coming out all smooth like he a Malcolm X type of caliber. But at the same time, he ain't never said nothing about child marriage laws in America. He came to the White House with 2 girls and never said nothing, and left and never said nothing and advocated against child marriage in America. But he came to the White House with 2 girls. When you think that somebody that came to the White House with 2 girls will be inclined to see what's going on sexually with the children? He didn't even do it. He came and went. He had 2 terms back to back and didn't even say nothing about child marriage laws, not one term. You can't make this up, bro. You can't. Ain't none of these celebrities said nothing about child marriage laws. Michael Jordan didn't say nothing about it, has he? I want you to show you how spooky it is. Michael Jordan didn't say nothing about it, did he? John Walsh from America Most Wanted, that got that show America Most Wanted. John Walsh ain't never said nothing about child marriage laws, have he? Oh, here's another one. Nancy Grace. Did Nancy Grace ever say something about child marriage? She act like she the watchdog of watchdogs, right? But Nancy Grace never said nothing as a watchdog of watchdogs. She never said nothing about child marriage laws. No, she didn't. See, this is white America. After all, buddy. They gonna uphold this fake synthetic image. Even if they do find out about it. You know what they gonna do? You know what half of them gonna do? Oh, they gonna try to figure out how they can get past it. No. A criminal don't see how he can get past it. You don't let a criminal say, oh, well, let's just see how you can get past it. No, buddy, you're liable. You're liable for accusing American community while you was doing the same thing. You know what I call this? A term I coined. Here's another term I coined. It is the American system of justice is an invalid legal system. It's an invalid legal system. Well, how is valid when you lock up a guy for statutory rape, but then another guy gets to marry the same age of child? One guy marries a child, a certain age, in one state. If he doesn't marry that same child and the age of consent is higher than the child he interacts with sexually, he gets statutory rape. But you can marry a child in that same state under the age of consent without getting locked up. Want a perfect example? Okay.
In California, the age of consent is 18. But July 1st, you just made new laws to marry children. So a person in California can marry a child under 18, but if you have sex with a child under 18 in California, you get statutory rape charges. You can't be slow following me, man. You can't be slow. You can't be slow. That's an invalid legal system. That's not valid, because what makes it invalid is justice is not served properly. There is no absolute right and no absolute wrong. If you don't have an absolute right by laws and charges and prosecution and charges from the prosecution, if you don't have an absolute right and an absolute wrong by definition, by charges, by laws, you have an invalid legal system. I coined the term, an invalid legal system. If you go to another country, you wouldn't. See, this is what stupid people gonna think. Well, they must have invalid legal systems in Brazil. No, they don't. In Brazil is not gonna have laws that you can have sex with this same age somehow, some way legally, but then another guy gets arrested for the same age that he had sex with. It's nowhere, you ain't gonna find that in Brazil, where basically, as far as the age of child, one guy can have sex with the child legally, another guy gets locked up for some reason. Now you see what I'm saying? That's an invalid legal system, because by definition, you say it's okay over here, so it's correct over here, but it's incorrect over there. And the whole judgment and prosecution is about the certain age of child, right? Okay, so they're prosecuting you because of a certain age. That's what the whole problem is. Okay, so how could you have a child marriage with the same age that you feel by definition makes him a pedophile over here? So the man that marries the same age, he not a pedophile? Oh, so only if he's outside of a marriage, he's a pedophile. By definition, because by definition it is that he's an adult and that's a girl. So we label him a pedophile because that's a girl. Not how he marries the child, not how he gets a law to be sexually with the child. No, we looking at calling him a pedophile by age of the child and age of himself, right? That's how we looking at it. He's a grown man. She's a child. Okay, so how can a grown man be defined as a pedophile over here with a child, but then this other guy can marry a child, but he's not considered a pedophile by definition? Well, we don't label him a pedophile, do we? If he marries a child, right? If he marries a child, he's not a pedophile, right? So what is he then? He's marrying the same age, he's having sex with the same age of child. So by definition, he will be a pedophile because he's having sex with the same age of child. But he's not, is he? But he's not labeled that. You know what he's considered? A man, a hubby that's with a child. He's a hubby. A husband, in other words. He's a hubby to a child. So that's not a valid legal system. If you have a valid legal system, that means it ain't no way we can find ourselves marrying a child and then locking this guy up for the same age if he doesn't marry the child. So it's not a matter of age, it's a matter of how he does it, whether he's defined as a pedophile or not. That's 7 out. If he's married to the child, we don't label him a pedophile. So it's not the age of the child and the age of the man, it's the procedure with how he interacts with the child sexually. Well, that's not how I took it, because I look at the statutory rape charge and figure that out. Well, you locked him up based on what? The procedure or the age? You locked him up on the age. You didn't lock him up with how he did it. How you know that? Because there's another way to do it, which is called child marriage. So you don't lock people up for procedures or how they do it. You lock people up for the age. And how we know? Because the age doesn't matter in a child marriage. It doesn't matter there. So then if it don't matter on one of the situations, then we know that's not the problem. You're defining it for us it's self-explanatory. The problem is how you do it, not how old the child is. Well, I would consider that to be true because both parties can have interactions with the child at the same age. But this guy get to marry the child. So it's not the age, because he marries the child the same age. You're telling us by your actions of prosecuting one, but the other one get to marry the child. You're telling us by those actions that the problem is not the age. The problem is you don't marry the child. So because you don't marry the child, we're gonna lock you up. It's not the age of the child. This is what you're telling us. This is the real evil that you are. It's not the age of the child. You just got to marry the child to make it look honorable, to make it look like you at least dedicating yourself to the child. Oh, I nailed it right there. America think out of a funky situation, we can still make it look honorable. Like okay, if you marry the child, that looks good. That looks good like you dedicated yourself to the child. Do you care if somebody dedicate themselves to a child? Do you care if people dedicate themselves to children or not? And that's all they got to do to have sex with a child. They got to dedicate themselves to a child. That's 7 hours. You see the trouble you in? You made it basically to where basically your standard is as long as you dedicate yourself to a child, we don't care what you do. As long as you dedicate your life to that child, it's okay. Would you feel that way? Oh, you can be with this child as long as you dedicate yourself to him. As long as you dedicate yourself to her, you can have her. Well, will you tell me what it is? And that's why it ain't no way in the world you finna judge me, buddy. That's all I'm saying. Now, these other ignorant people that don't know no better, listen, buddy. You got an invalid legal system. You can't judge nobody. America's the only one got an invalid legal system. I challenge you as the American community to go find me another country that has an invalid legal system, which means to listen, for it to be an invalid legal system, you gotta go find me a country that will lock somebody up for doing the same thing that somebody else has legal right to do. You ain't gonna find that. You might find laws you don't like. That's not an invalid legal system. Laws you don't like with children. We ain't talking about that. No, we talking about one guy gets locked up, the other guy doesn't. See how smart you gotta be? You gotta go find me a country where one guy gets locked up while another guy gets rights to do the same thing. Go find me a country, wherever you want to find it. Keep in mind, Russia doesn't marry children. They don't have laws to marry children. China doesn't marry children either. So scratch China and Russia. You got to find me a country that has gives legal right to have sex with a certain age of child, but this certain age of child, if a man doesn't marry him in another country, if he doesn't marry this age of child, he gets arrested. You see how goofy that is, right? He gets arrested. Go find me another country that's doing that. You're the only country that's doing it. You're the only country that has an invalid legal system. You can't define one man as a pedophile, but this other guy gets to marry the age of child. That's called an invalid legal system. Now you see how the prophet got his ducks in a row. You ain't never gonna be able to find another country that, this is what happened when America was left to itself. They ain't have nobody to answer to. You have to look at it like this is what happens when people have no enemies that they have to face and be accountable to. This is what happens when America did not have to be accountable to nobody. They can talk about pedophiles in your face and talk about R. Kelly, Michael Jackson. They can talk about they still talking about it. Some people still talking about it somewhere. Some of the weirdos still talking about Michael Jackson. Right now. But yet that same fool doesn't know his country is marrying children. It's a standard that y'all never lived. That's what I want you to understand. I want your country to understand you never lived this. While many of us in the community did. We had opportunity to have sex with children and we didn't do it. A real honorable man gonna tell you, especially one that looked real good. A man that looked real good attracted children. And they gonna tell you, I could have had sex with a girl with her consent, but I didn't. I could tell that she was attracted to me, but I didn't have sex with her. We was sticking to that standard while America wasn't doing that. They was marrying children the whole time. And that should anger you as a real man. Not because you want to do the same thing, but because while you was doing what you was doing, sticking to the standards, sticking to the codes of real men and being honorable, they was not. You want more? Oh, military. Military has rights to have sex with 16-year-old girls if you join the military. Under the UCMJ program, which stands for Uniform Code of Military Justice, the age of consent is set for all military personnel at 16 years old. That means I don't care what you're going to the military for and you enlist into the military for. You're going to be under one age of consent that's set by the Uniform Code of Military Justice, the UCMJ. That's the abbreviation. It's UCMJ. Under the UCMJ, which stands for the Uniform Code of Military Justice, the age of consent for all American military personnel is set at 16 years old. That's not a man. 16 ain't a man. 16 ain't a grown woman. Now you see why I deserve my money. Because even your military is having sex with 16-year-old girls and boys. Even your military. Military ain't honorable. What military gonna say? Oh, and by the way, you defended a country that was marrying children. How you feel about that? How you feel about defending the country while you harping on while you tooting your own horn about you doing tours everywhere and all around the world everywhere? How you feel about America marrying children while you was doing tours everywhere? You defended a country that was marrying children. Whether you like it or not, whether you can look at whoever you want to look at. I don't care about that. You was defending a country marrying children, buddy. And that's the bottom line. How you feel about that, military? See, you ain't got no choice to be on my side. You see how it's set up? You ain't got no choice. You ain't got no choice, buddy. You thought you did, didn't you? No, you don't got no choice. That's what God's kingdom should be presenting. The true righteous should be presenting such the truth in such a standard that you ain't got no choice but to stand with us. Or you go back over there with them where they marrying children. Oh, by the way, they was having sex with animals too. Oh yeah. In four states of America. Hawaii, West Virginia still has the laws. Wyoming was another one. Wyoming, Hawaii, Virginia, and some other state. Some other obscure state. Might have been North Dakota. But don't quote me on the last one. But Wyoming, Hawaii, and Virginia, West Virginia. West Virginia still has the laws to marry children. Have sex with dogs, animals, all of them. Mostly dogs, that's what it's gonna be. West Virginia still has laws to do it. So you put one case of bestiality against one state, who wins? A whole state of people that has laws to have sex with animals in West Virginia. I only need one state to beat you. Or one case where you thought I have sex with animals. But then I got a whole state, West Virginia, right now, presently, You can go Google it. West Virginia has no laws against sex with animals. Who you think win? One man or against one state of whole people, a whole state of people? What you gonna judge? The whole state of people that get to have sex with animals. All it takes is one state. West Virginia, you got one state that has sex with animals.